This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning everyone. Welcome to another Sunrise Safari with WildEarth, coming to you live from the Sabi Sands from Djuma. My name is Noelle van Moden, and on camera we have Owen. Good morning, Owen. And we were just showing you a little bit of the beautiful pink and sherbet sky that is peeping through these little bit of clouds. Now it is 18 degrees Celsius, which is about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm freezing. I'm freezing cold. This is winter conditions for us here in the Lowveld. My mission this morning is to pick up where Tristan left off yesterday, trying to get you some leopard love. Now we all know that Tristan is the king at finding leopards. I am going to do my best to fill his very big shoes. And while we're busy looking for leopard and waiting for the sun to come up a little bit more, for Steve to come out on bushwalk with BK, let's have a little mini adventure. Now don't forget, you can send through your questions because we are live and I will answer them. We've got amazing ladies in our control room. They're going to feed it through right here, and then we get to interact with each other all morning. So let's go. It's a little bit windy. Just a little bit. I'm just going to put my lights back on so you guys can see. I can see without them, but it's better to have a bit more illumination every now and then. Thanks everyone, I'm happy to be back. Glad to be joining you. I had a good little bit away. Went and did some walking. As you know, I love to walk. And a little bit of game drives. We had some really great wild dog sightings where I was, and a couple of cheetah sightings. Really great lions on foot, rhino on foot, and now I'm back with everybody here. So I'd be keen to know what everyone's been up to for the rest of their February. If you want to send through any comments or exciting activities that you've got going on or maybe coming up. Not picking up any tracks so far. So the girls are reminding me that today is a weekday, which might mean that you have to go to work, but that doesn't mean that there isn't anything exciting that you have going on or you have been doing. Not everyone's got a... Oh, not a weekday. She's saying leap day. Yeah. What day is today, Natalie? 29th. Owen says it's the 29th. Oh, it's the leap day. Okay. Well, there we go. Us bush people don't usually know what day of the week it is, nor day of the month. So Natalie is reminding me that it is leap day. So 29th of February, which happens only every 4 years. So I hope everyone's having a nice leap day. Is it a national holiday? Or do we just, because it happens every 4 years, it's just an odd occurrence? I don't know. You guys can let me know. Are you doing something fun for day? All right, we're here at Treehouse Dams, excuse me. We're going to Twin Dams later. We're here at Treehouse Dam. And I do think it's light enough to be turning these lights off. Looking in the trees, but it's very windy. So because it's very windy, anything that a leopard would eat is going to be hiding in the bushes. So therefore, a leopard that might still be hunting will be in the bushes, in the thickets, as it were. Now, there used to be, when I was here a few years ago, a hippo that liked this dam. But I think in the interim, he has possibly moved on because we had a bit of a dry spell. So we can be focusing over this side. And we'll have a little listen at our morning sounds. a little bit hard this morning to hear our dawn chorus with the wind, but we have a few birds that are chirping away. No frogs, it's too cold. It is way too cold. Those frogs are hiding. We have had a very cold summer in general, and quite an overcast summer. But it's been good. We've had really good rain, and it feels like across the country, lots of good rain. I'm hoping that the rest of Southern Africa also experience good rain. Puma, you're curious to know if the reserve that I usually do safari on has had rain. Puma, I don't have a usual place. So I've got lots of places that I go and I visit, and I have lots of places that I work from. I handpick where I go as part of my business. So the general areas where I've been working in Southern Africa this summer has had very good rain, yeah. Now I can hear some oxpeckers, but where I'm hearing these oxpeckers is towards this dead tree. That's just about our 10 o'clock. So when we're on the game viewer, we use the clock system. The front of the vehicle is always 12 o'clock. Now if we zoom in a bit, we'll get rid of that bar for you guys off of the screen there. And we can just move a little bit maybe to the right. Oh, perfect. So right inside that dead tree, oxpeckers are a hole nesting species. So it's time of year for birds to be having nests, and they will be somewhere inside of there. Now normally you would say, oh, oxpeckers, there must be something around, but I'm hearing it from that general direction. It's still a little bit dark and a little bit cold for them to have left their sleeping areas to alight upon some mammalian wildlife. So that is what I'm deducing from this morning. So somewhere inside of those branches will be a nice little cavity that they've made their nest in. As I was saying before, it's very cold for frogs because it's basically winter temperatures. So they will not be trying to expel their energy at the moment in this cold. They would have to keep themselves warm, plus make territorial calls. So they're going to be quiet. Ah, there the oxpeckers flew off. And now they're flying towards the front of the vehicle, up in the air, and they're going to go look for impala or wildebeest, there we go, or rhinos, or buffalo. Amazingly, not so much with the elephants, although, so when I started guiding, I was told that elephants will never get ticks on them. And then I went up to Zambia and I was guiding in Zambia and elephants had ticks on them. So maybe it's a different tick species, I'm not sure, but I've still never seen an oxpecker on an elephant. Now we've got a bit of weaver nest that's being shown there. Different type of bird entirely, not hole nesters at all. They build those. Also not very active this morning because it's very, very cold. All right, let's carry on. Let's see what we can find along the way. And again, looking for tracks and signs. It's the best way, especially in the morning, to start looking for whatever wildlife we're keen on. Sir 50, you would like to know what leopard I would like to see the most. So actually chatting with Natalie about this morning. I like any leopard. I don't care which leopard. It can be any leopard. And because the dynamics have changed a little bit in the couple years I've been away, I don't actually know all the leopards that are in this area. So I'm happy with any one. But if I had to choose one single individual, I would probably choose Cuckoo, because I just dig him. I think he's pretty amazing. I was sending a message to a friend of mine to have my nephew possibly watch the show this morning, and I was showing her how to get onto the platform to view, and there was some footage from a sighting that we had. Actually, it would have been around this time of year, a couple years ago, with Cuckoo killing a warthog next to the vehicle. It was an epic sighting. It was really amazing. So I wouldn't mind him. But in general, a leopard's a leopard, and I'm happy with whatever leopard. I also just enjoy the game, the chase of getting the tracks, tracking it, finding the animal. That's part of what I really, really enjoy. Yes, so it seems like in the little bit that I've been away, we've had some more rain here, which is good. Everything's nice and full, lots of spaces for frogs to be. The vegetation is looking excellent. The palatable grass species are growing nice and thick, and by palatable we mean nutritious and tasty. I don't know if you all remember, but in 2016 we had quite a bad drought in this area. And we had, I think it was the Djuma Pride of lions that was really struggling. They like to hunt buffalo, and the buffalo were very malnourished because of the drought. The drought was affecting the grass species more than the tree species. And the lions were getting a bit of white muscle disease because the food that they were eating was not... It didn't have the amount of nutrients and minerals that their bodies actually needed. And then they were getting a bit of mange from it as well, some Scarcoptus mange. Mookie Moo, I believe what you're trying to say is that while I was away, James and Steve were here and it was a little bit crazy. Well, of course it was. Those two have a really great sense of humor. I hope I can bring a little bit of sanity to you, but also maybe a little bit of fun. All right, I've got something interesting next to the vehicle here. I'm going to see if we can possibly get a view of it just down there on the ground. And then I'm going to say, what are your thoughts? I'm not going to tell you quite yet, but I would like to know what you all think is there. Who left this behind? What species? Or we could say, what happened here? A little bit of a track and sign quiz to get you started for when Steve gets out on bushwalk. Now remember, a track is the print that the animal left behind. And the signs would be something like this that they also leave behind. Signs can also be feeding behavior, whether the animal is a grazer or a browser. Could be possibly digging behavior, something like a porcupine that's after roots will leave little diggings. This particular animal has left this evidence here, this sign here at a corner, and it is relatively fresh. I would probably say from yesterday. I accidentally drove over a little bit, which isn't the best, but there's no dung beetles active at the moment, so we're safe and sound. Janet, you win. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It is Rhino, and this is in fact white Rhino, and I'm going to show you why. I'm just going to go over and play in some poo for a bit. All right. So one of the ways that you can tell is the coloration. So it tends to be quite green on the inside. All right, very, very fibrous in there. Whereas if it was a black rhino, you would have a little bit more of a blonde landscape and a little bit more of a reddish tinge to it, and you would not see as much grass here. So white rhinos are bulk grazers. They eat lots of grass. A black rhino is a browser, and with this time of year will sometimes eat grass. They also eat fruits. And what you'll also see with a black rhino is that you'll get twigs with a little 45-degree angle from their hooked lip. With the white rhino, he's got a wide, wide lip, head positioned down, and he's munching grass and going through. So there we go. So this will be a male in here, on the territorial side. Now what's interesting with this is that we also have some dung that's on the outside here. So sometimes what happens, oh, there we've got one dung beetle. Come here, buddy. I'm going to let the guys have a little look at you. We've got one dung beetle, and you can actually see some of the mites on him. Oh, and if I stand here like this, can you see? Okay. Sorry to wake you up. Now that he's moving, he was playing dead. His little mites are on the front of his mouth. They help clean his mouth because all he does is play and poo all day. And they're what keep him alive. Sorry, that's such a little sidetrack. But what you'll see is the males, the territorial males, will go inside the midden, and then usually the females go to the outside. But I've also seen, especially with black rhino, females going in the midden, but with white rhino, I've also seen them going more into the closer side when they're in their core of their home range. They don't tend to have a territory, female white rhino, but I have seen some quite actively territorial ones as they get older. I've actually even seen a white rhino female scent marking like a male. So that's our little side note for the day. Remember, the wildlife don't read the books. So sometimes you get behavior that we're not used to. So well done. on white rhino. Now, as I'm busy meandering towards Twin Dams, it is light enough and Steve and BK are out on walk, so let's head on over to them so they can say good morning.
Good morning, and welcome to the Bushwalk team. If I was a little bird, I would probably still be sleeping in my little hole in the tree, a beautiful little cavity nest. Now, I was talking about oxpeckers. They will occupy a hole like that has been created by the likes of a woodpecker or even a barbet, lined and filled with the hair of animals they've plucked it from. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Bushwalk. It is a very blustery and cool morning, and my name is Steve, joined by PK on camera. We're excited to have you with us. Now, we are going to be walking around this morning, just trying to make head or tail of some tracks in and around quarantine. But isn't that a wonderful hole? Let's just go back to it, because I think this is amazing. There's a marula tree, and look how high it is off the ground. It's about 2.5 meters, and it's beautifully excavated over there. And the tree is still alive, you see, because there's just a piece of wood that has been excavated within the marula tree, and the whole tree is still standing. So a fantastic habitat tree, and that hole will remain there for some years. And we know there's many different species utilizing holes like that. Barbets, woodpeckers, starlings, oxpeckers, hoopoes, wood hoopoes. So it's very, very important. A little timeshare accommodation, very, very good real estate. Definitely, if I was a bird, I'd probably still be hanging out in this morning, wrapped up in my feathers. But this is quite fresh, and let's get some walking to warm ourselves up, shall we, Beaks? Whew. So Tristan has left this morning with Steph. Wonderful having him with us, wasn't it? For a short little stint. And isn't it nice to have Noel back? Yes. Yes, indeed. And happy Leap Day, everybody. I can't remember the last time I remember it being a Leap Day. 4 years ago. Always forget. Miss KJ, there are honey badgers on Djuma. Morris actually saw one last week, and we see tracks more regularly than we see the animal. But both Jamie and myself have had some and James and Sydney have had some spectacular honey badger sightings over the last 2 years. Sydney with Marcel had a honey badger killing a tortoise and eating it. I had a honey badger killing a monitor lizard. Jamie had one killing a baby crocodile. Those guys just don't care about anything. They just kill, eat, do whatever they want. We were on foot the other day trying to follow up on Shadulu, and we heard something. We didn't see it, but we strongly suspect our honey badger friend was somewhere there around. Indeed. Okay, well, we're going to go towards Zoe's Junction, I think, and then we'll come back on Western Quarantine and just have a look for some tracks. So the tracks yesterday morning, I remember everyone were talking about Tingana's tracks. Now, I'm almost pretty certain that those tracks were probably for Mawati, considering where he was found. And no wonder we didn't find him. We won't find him in the day. Putting a tracker on foot, possible. He just won't be found. He's even shyer than the Duke. Because Tingana was on Tortured the day before. It's not impossible for him to make it all the way back. But so yesterday morning, the day before, we had Shadulu, Ukumori, Tingana, we reckon, Kalamba, all walked down this road. And then in the afternoon, we'll try to follow up. Hukumori went west. Shadulu had gone west. Tingana had gone east. Kalamba did what she does best and lost everybody in the Gari Katlan block. And then in the morning, we had Saseka. And then Mawati was found. And then Tristan had Kuchava last night. So I know that was just on Torchwood. And then it's Chitra, so that's leopards. We didn't see Shadulu and Hukumori, but they were around. 7 leopards. And that's why we're going to go up to this junction. Because all 4 leopards went to that tree. And then Saseka, we found her at this junction yesterday morning, looking quite sheepish. What happened? You've caught me sniffing a tree. The tree is a very nice signpost. It comes up quite often. Many people say, well, lions scent mark over leopards, or leopards scent mark over lion. When you come to a very common junction where there's a lot of roads or pathways meeting, if there's something prominent, a chair, a curtain, a tree, a car, anything that's there is the perfect vantage point for a little bit of urine. Cats will spray it. We go to that tree and we show it to you and see if we can find any tracks. And that's exactly what Noel is doing.
Hello, so I was just climbing back in the vehicle. Had some civet tracks and an old leopard track, but nothing to get too excited about, and it's a little bit of a thin area, so I'm going to see if maybe we can find them up here to show you. Possibly. With this cloud cover, the light is not the best, so with this soft white sandy soils it's a little bit harder. And I'm not seeing, kind of. Maybe let's just check up here. So a civet, for those of you that don't know, is a nocturnal animal. Well, crepuscular, most active at dusk or dawn, and then through the night. You tend to see them more during the day, in the winter time when it's cooler, but then also, even though it's summer right now, it's nice and cool. So it would be a possibility. They've got very distinctive tracks, quite round. Two little round toes on the side. It can't be anything other than a civet. They are related. These ones might work. I'm gonna see if I can get these on camera for you. He was pacing up and down here. Sorry, so where Owen sits at the back, he's got great vantage views for many things, but on the ground can be a little bit tricky. So we're gonna see if this works. I'm gonna have to pull a little bit forward, I think, because of the roof we have on, because of the potential rain. All right, so Owen, you're gonna have to let me know if this is working. Basically what I'm looking at is these tracks here. I don't know if we can see them with the little round toe here. Fantastic, and a little round toe here. So 4 toes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the back, you've got 2 little lobes, and again, very, very circular. Those 2 outside, very round toes as well, indicative of civet. This is a very large civet, an adult, and he's busy going around and feeding and marking his territory. I wonder what this is. Can you guys see this thing in my hand here? Just found this off the ground. Almost looks like the outside of a like a little bit of a part of a shell, but it's very, very, very thin. I'm going to keep it with me to investigate for later. Anyway, so the civets meander around looking for food. They eat shongololos, they eat millipedes, and then they go to the toilet in latrines. So what they end up doing is they go along, and when they're marking their territory, they've got latrines, but their dung is, or scat maybe. They're insectivorous, they eat a little bit of fruit, so I guess we can call it scat. Their scat is so large that it can sometimes be mistaken for lion. It is huge. Then you'll have these little latrines, you'll find little bits of seeds, and then you'll find parts of the millipedes in it. I will have a look today as we're driving around to see if I can show one for you. Now they're about this tall and about this wide, and they've got a longish tail, and they're a sort of dark browny gray with a stripe down the back and spots and a cute little cat-like face, but they're not cats. They're a civet. They've got a little anal pouch that can stink, similar to the honey badger that Steve was chatting to you about. Oh, and look at the sky. Oh, my friends, we have to look at that. That is beautiful. Check those colors, hey? Absolutely stunning. Now, I hope that Steve is getting views like we are over on his bushwalk. So let's head on over to him and his tree. And maybe there's the sunrise behind his tree while we keep looking for more tracks. Hopefully our leopard will pop up.
Well, that's what happens. The leopards do just pop up. And here we are at a junction with a very big marula tree. And we came just up the road where BK is parked now. And Saseka was walking towards this tree. She was walking towards it. And we actually caught her, busy sniffing. And then she went, "Ooh, you caught me!" And she freaked out a little bit and then ran to that termite mound because she got caught smelling. And she probably thought, is that a male leopard coming? Is another female? Is someone going to beat me up? So this signpost right here on the corner of this road, we've got Voitele access. We've got a massive big pathway there from the runoff. Then we've got Voitele access continuing. We've got a termite mound, and we know leopards love to go up on top of them as well. And then this junction over here. So you can see it's an enormous sort of split roads. And to leopards, it's a junction. It's a thoroughfare. And this is an area we check every single day for lion and leopard tracks because they seem to just follow it. This takes us to Western Quarantine. That takes us to the dam. That takes us south along Zoe's to the Southern Firebreak. And that takes us to Sydney's Dam and the gate. But why not, BK? Why not? It is a cat highway, and that is just glorious. Just going to keep quiet for a moment and allow you to enjoy while we enjoy. I'd like you all to send through a one-word tweet. Tell us, how does this morning light sit with you? Let us know using the hashtag WildEarth. Or just sit back and enjoy it. Laura says it looks like rain. Red skies in the morning is a warning. I've never heard that before. Well, it certainly feels like rain. Although there's not really much of a system off to the east. Definitely feels cool enough. It's maybe a bit too windy for it to be raining. But who knows? Yesterday the rain came out of nowhere. Magnificent, James Richard, indeed. What's your one word, Beaks?
Let's just say amazing. I'm just going to say amazing.
BK's going with the all and important word, amazing. Haha, Picky. He took the words out of my mouth. Picky said home. Nothing quite like an African sunset or sunrise to make you feel at home. Make it in Natalie and FC saying it looks like the opening sequence in The Lion King. I'm not going to break out into song, because once I start singing, I start dancing, and then you can't make me stop. I'm only joking. You don't want to see me dancing. Okay, well, I hope you all enjoyed that. We're going to go get our legs warmed up. Lynn, inspiring. That is a great one. That is a great one. I try to sit with the sunrise and sunset each day, and I have these little moments of silence for all of you. They're actually me. Just to reflect.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that little bit of technical difficulty with Steve. It happens sometimes with the bushwalk backpack. The aerial is not as tall as it is on the car, so every now and then a little scenario will pop up, but I'm sure we'll get him back shortly. Owen and I are still busy looking for leopard. We're still here at Twin Dams. I'm just gonna go over, there's some nice white-faced whistling ducks just in front of us here, a nice little flock of them. They do in fact whistle, and I know I'm not going to repeat it for you. I'm really bad with imitating bird calls. You usually see them in little groupings like this, as opposed to in a pair. And then just to the back, we've had some female comb ducks that have landed, but we can't spot them from here. I'll see if I can back up and we can go and have a look. I've been listening to the other guys that are out on game drive at the moment. They're also searching. This weather being difficult for everybody out on drive. Everything is hiding. Takes a little bit more effort in the mornings. That's why birding is one of my favorite things to do. It makes you sit still for a bit and enjoy. And then more often than not, whatever you're looking for actually eventually comes to you. So the white-faced whistling ducks are busy preening at the moment. They've got a gland that they're spreading across their feathers. And for waterfowl, like these ducks here, it assists with keeping them buoyant in their aquatic environment. Also making sure to put back any feathers that might have been misplaced in the evening, so that they're as aerodynamic as possible. When they do need to fly, this flock came over the dam wall while you all were busy looking at that stunning sunrise with Steve. If I had to choose one word for that sunrise, I would say breathtaking. Not quite sure what you all had. Then just behind our white-faced ducks, towards the back, we've got a blacksmith lapwing. It's just come down towards the water's edge. Now, ducks will often... Oh, and you just chased a drongo off there. And coming into land. Now, ducks will often nest in trees, like the oxpeckers that we saw earlier this morning. This blacksmith lapwing, however, used to be a blacksmith plover when I started guiding. It's now a blacksmith lapwing. They don't make a nest, they make a little scraping on the ground, put 2 or 3 eggs inside of there, and it will usually be on the side of a dam like you're seeing here. Blacksmith lapwings tend to be close to water or areas that will hold water in the summertime. I've often seen a pair of blacksmith lapwings that have staked out an area that is theirs and are dutifully waiting for the summer for the water to come through. And when it does, then they defend it quite aggressively. Now this particular individual is on the hunt for insects. You can see him going through the grass there, possibly picking up termites that would still be active this time of morning in this cool weather. And always aware and vigilant as it's going around. See, it doesn't want to be preyed upon. It's a little bit cold for a bird of prey, but something like a genet, which is like a tiny little version of a civet, in coloration. Would definitely eat something like this lapwing. Miss KJ, you're wondering if the white-faced ducks stay all year or if they migrate. So in many places that I work, they stay all year, and in other places they move on in the winter. It just depends on what's happening with the water. So we tend to see them more in summertime here than in wintertime, but that doesn't mean that if we haven't had good rain that they won't stick around. So they move, if we haven't had enough rain, they will move off to other parts of Africa. There they fly. Listen. I hope we could hear that. That's the whistling we described. They've left one of their friends behind. Seems rather confused. But they could maybe just circle back around. Here's some Egyptian geese going off in the background there. Obviously not happy that those white-faced ducks have gone anywhere near their area. And then also flying off. I just want to go check the corner that I can't see. I went on just on that side because those white-faced ducks came up, and now the Egyptian geese have come up, and I was assuming it was because of the white-faced ducks moving, but it could be something else because that other duck was looking in that general direction. Let's just have a look-see. See, all of them are looking here. What do you see, ducks? What do you see? Maybe they see nothing. Maybe they see our leopard. Janet, you'd like to know how do they keep their eggs safe? Well, Janet, they sit on them. That's one way. And rotating the male and female through, and then otherwise they just kind of have to hope and pray a little bit that nothing comes to eat them, but it's very difficult. That's also why they tend to lay larger numbers of eggs. No, I think I got excited. I'm not seeing what could have possibly moved everybody off. It could also just have been the wind. So they lay multiple eggs, and then when the babies are born, little precocial babies, basically born and ready to follow mom and dad wherever they may go. The larger number they have, the more chances that at least one or two will survive to help propagate the gene pool. So it's not that they can protect all their eggs, but that they have a larger number of eggs and young so that some will survive. No, I think it was just the wind popping up, sadly. I'm really hoping to pick up a bit more leopard activity, but we're gonna keep birding until we do. I heard some kingfishers in the riverbed, which I think is still a little bit too wet for us to drive through. But we're going to go check down there for some tracks anyway. And we'll just have one more squiz around the dam. So learning to be patient in our jobs as guides, whether you're on a vehicle or on a bushwalk, is really important, because sometimes you just have to wait for things to unfold so that you can get all the pieces to your puzzle, which allows you to make better decisions for your guests and for you, the viewers. Now we have both of the blacksmith lapwings, the mated pair, have come down just to the left along the bank there. Also busy feeding, as they were earlier. Consulting detective, you'd like to know if lapwings are territorial. So we touched on it briefly a few minutes ago about that pair that I was telling you about with the dry mud pan and waiting for the rains and aggressively staking out their territory. They remind me of an older couple who wants to save a parking space for their children who are visiting for the weekend. So yes, they are territorial. And it also depends on the type of species of lapwing. So with the blacksmith, they're territorial for sure. And remember, they're territorial against other members of their same species, not necessarily against other birds, unlike those Egyptian geese that I was saying were quacking away. Egyptian geese are territorial against other Egyptian geese, but they also just don't like anybody coming into their area. Now, I could hear a black crake just now on the left-hand side of the vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull forward a wee bit, and then I'm going to let Owen slide around and reposition for you. And we'll see if we can get a view of this black crake in amongst the watery vegetation here. Got our weavers busy. Sure, you can hear them from here. And then that crake will be in and amongst all of this wetness. He's quite a dark bird, small, like a juvenile chicken size, maybe subadult chicken size, maybe a little bit smaller. Try and put that into context for you. Quite elusive because of where they live. I'm not hearing his call again at the moment, but we're still going to have a quick little scan around. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a malachite kingfisher this morning. That would be on my list of wonderful birds to see. So with kingfishers, most kingfishers eat insects. So my other favorite kingfisher is the African pygmy kingfisher, but you would see him a little bit farther away from the water, being insectivorous. And then the malachite tends to eat a bit of fish and then aquatic insects as well, so you tend to see them more in a little fillet like what we're looking at now. Oh, those weavers are always lovely. Still busy with their nests. Yeah, lavender blue, I agree. These weavers are in fact amazing. They're engineering feats. And even though it's very, very chilly this morning, almost too chilly to be putting as much effort in as they are for such a small bird, they're still actively after perfecting the nest, and if any have laid eggs in there, looking after the eggs as well. All right, my friends, well, I think we have given quite a bit of time here. So I think we're going to start moving on. Tessa, I believe you're asking about birds getting injuries, but Natalie, I'm just going to ask you just to relay Tessa's question again one more time. That's a really good question, Tessa. So Tessa, you're asking about a behavior that's killdeers, I believe you call them, are perform in the States. So the blacksmith lapwings that we saw earlier will also perform that fake injury attempt to get predators away. So they pretend to have a broken wing display. That's the phrase that I'm looking for. Broken wing display to lure predators away from their chicks and their eggs. And then once they lure them away, they'll fly up and away from the danger themselves. So yes, we do. Plovers being one of the main ones. Yes, it's windy. All right, let's carry on. Let's see what else we have going on in the bush this morning. Still checking for tracks, because right where we're sitting is where this young male leopard was seen yesterday evening. And I'm not picking up anything, but this soil's a bit hard, a little bit difficult to see. Now, with weather like this, you would expect the leopard to move off, but that's not always the case. Sometimes they stick around and try and do a little bit of hunting in this type of area. I also don't know if this male leopard is just coming through if he's looking for a territory. Sorry for all the bumps. I don't know his age. I don't actually know that much about him. So we're going to try and collect as much information as we go along, and we might be able to, we might not. This tall grass can make it a little bit difficult to see anything that might be hiding. But usually if a leopard is moving through this type of grassy area we have in front of us, their tail will come up and you'll see that little bit of white underneath the tail. That lets us know where he or she is. Unless, of course, they can hear and see us, which of course they can hear and see us coming, and they don't feel like being spotted, then they get down, and we might not see them at all. Just gonna check this pan up here, and then we'll probably cross over the Milwaukee, depending. Don't pick up anything, maybe we'll try a whole different area. Or something else entirely. So Owen was telling me about a sighting you all had with James, with Columba and a kill and a crocodile and hyenas, and it all sounded very, very, very exciting, and I'm actually quite jealous, I'm not gonna lie, very jealous. We've got a bird of prey. Alright, I'm just going to show you this bird of prey if we can manage. Is the roof going to get in the way? Yeah, sorry guys. While I'm trying to reposition, let's head back on over to Steve and BK, who seem to be up and mobile.
Well, we've hopefully sorted our technical issues this time around, everybody, and we found a very cool track and sign. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before, so we're just going to detail it. What you can see over here is there's a hole over there that's been closed over, but what's easy to see is that there's been sediment that's been pushed, almost like a small little bulldozer, pushed sediment all away from the hole. Can you see that? This is the characteristic behavior of a solifuge. And they do this by cleaning out the hole, and then they go back inside and they close it up. Now, solifuges don't have silk. They are not true spiders. They don't have silk or venom. And a very small hole, but obviously the little spider-like organism inside there is bigger than a hole because they're able to crumble themselves up. Now, isn't that awesome? Very cool track and sign. I do believe almost 100% it is a solifuge. I've taken a picture. I'm going to send to Steph to double check, but that's a characteristic sort of behavior that these guys portray. You see that? Like little earthworks. And I've put the knife there to show you how small this little solifuge is. And they can get quite big. They can get a lot bigger. The holes can be bigger. But this sort of behavior obviously always happens with all our termites and ants and the like after rain, because the rain causes sediment to fall in, causes the sediment to sort of crumble as well. If you've ever built castles in the sand before, you'll know that after a little bit of water, they crumble down. So these organisms have to keep digging. Janet, yes, well, I don't think I've ever shown it before, but it is a very cool little sign, isn't it? One of those very interesting signs left by an insect. And this one is part of the arachnid family. But solifuge or red Roman, also known as sun spiders. I don't have a picture on me, but they scare the life out of many people. They run around very quickly. They're generally trying to catch your shade, and so it makes people run because they think it's chasing them. So people will run away, and it keeps chasing because they're still looking for your shade, and then people run away, and then they're very scared. But don't worry, they don't actually have venom. They can bite. They can give you a bit of a pick, but that's about it, really. Very cool. Well, let's continue on. Let me take my knife back. Ooh. Oof. Feeling the burpee challenge I did with Steph yesterday. Steph this morning was bud. Feeling a bit stiff this morning. And now for Steph to be feeling stiff, because he's very fit, and we do lots of exercise, and I managed to hurt Steph. Well, he hurt himself, but it was exercise I came with. I hurt myself, he hurt himself. We did burpees, who likes burpees. 10 burpees, sprint 100 meters. 9 burpees, sprint 100 meters. 8 burpees, you get the point, down to 1. Whew. Steph lapped me twice though. It's alright. I know when I've lost. And Steph did it in just over 10 minutes and I did it in just over 12. So, we do it for time. Next time I'm going to do under 12. He's going to have to do under 10, which means he's going to have to work very hard to do so. But the whole body, burpees is an exercise that works the whole body. Feeling good though. Consulting detective, were you not out on drive with us yesterday? I want to, if you were not, let me show you this mushroom I took a photo of yesterday. Growing outside my room. I actually didn't even notice if it was there this morning. This is so cool. You just get it. There we go. I just put my flight mode on before something crazy happens. Look at that. How cool are those little guys? I showed this on the show last night. And I said it feels like the Smurfs have come home. Oh, I don't know what they are. If anyone out there knows what mushrooms they are, they don't look like you should be eating them though. BK? Don't get the wrong idea, my friend. I told everybody, disclaimer last night, be very careful eating mushrooms. Be very, very careful eating mushrooms unless you know what you're doing. Okay, well, we're going to carry on, shall we? Back to where we started. We're going to take a shortcut this time. We're going to cut the corner. Oh, you're going to have to say that again, Natalie. I got the word burpees and Coke in there, I think. I do burpees and I drink a Coke. And I don't get the name. I do not have it. Oh, Motos has burpees when she drinks Coke. Or him, I don't know. Well, yes, if you drink Coke, you will have burpees. Very clever. That's your dad joke number 1 for the day. Dad jokes are funny. I enjoy dad jokes. Burpees are not fun. There's nothing fun about burpees. I heard that there was an Australian fitness lady who broke the world record of burpees with the push-up. She did 1,200 in an hour. 1,200 and something. Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I think yesterday in 12 minutes, I think I did about 50 something. I was sore. 1,200 in an hour. I just can't. I can't for the life of me imagine. That's some serious fitness. Anyway, we're going to get some fitness today by doing some walking, and it's another type of digging. This is a very different type of digging. There's not a hole in the ground, it's more of a tunnel, and you can still see the excavation that's happened. I'm not sure. Morris, what do you think made this digging? What is he? Ask Morris's opinion, just to double check. I don't think it's a scorpion. What do you think made this one? You think it's a scorpion? Okay. Normally you get to see a nice little keyhole. I don't see it here, but you can see the difference in the tunnel structure. The solifuge has got that hole, and they do this, remember, with the excavation to the side. Scorpions will do sort of like a one junk line that comes out, and actually often with the scorpion burrow you can sift through the remains and you'll find the remains of organisms that they're fed upon. Very, very likely sometimes beetle carapaces or those of millipedes. Don't see any there. Morris reckons a scorpion. I'm not 100% sure. But another digging, another animal hidden underground. Many animals like to hide underground. It's a very nice place to be, especially when it's windy like this. Windy and a bit chilly. Underground maintains a similar sort of temperature, and of course is protected from the wind. Buggy. You're really funny, Buggy. Really funny. That's your dad joke number 1 for the day. Buggy. I'm sore. Didn't you understand when I said I'm feeling a bit stiff? Everybody, Buggy wants me to demonstrate a burpee. I can, but not here on the grass. I'm going to have to take my binoculars off. They're hidden under my vest. My mic pack's going to fall off. No, I can't, Buggy. I'm going to lose my audio and Tech's going to get angry with me. Hey, BK. Yeah, Tech's going to get angry with me. Okay, well, we're going to carry in here and try to pluck up the courage, but while we do that, sounds like Noel has found some tracks.
We have leopard tracks! Yay! I'm really excited. So we framed up on some really beautiful leopard tracks. And by framing up, I mean Owen has sorted us out so you guys can see exactly what we need you to see. And I'm just going to get off the vehicle and come over and point at some things. So, this here, front, this is the back track. Leopards have a tendency to walk with a slight overstep, okay? I also think that this particular animal, he wasn't moving quickly, but I mean, he had a slightly quicker pace. The other way that I can tell that is how we see the track. So this track in front, this back track, is longer than it is wide. Can we see that? Okay. So usually a back track is an oval shape. Now this front track, the length and width are the same. So this is the longest point to there, and then the width. Okay. So let me get a little piece of grass. Oh, sorry. Sorry there. Little spider, I didn't see you. So here we go with the length of the track. Okay. That's the back track, so that's about that long. And then you can see that it's much longer than it is wide. Then we go to the front track, cut off a little bit there, length, and then there we go, length, and then width. So that's the same. Okay. So this track as well is looking like a male track, and the reason why I say it's looking like a male track is especially on the sides here, it's quite bulbous. Females tend to be a little bit more angular. Okay, so this is definitely from the male that we're looking for. So this is most likely from last night. I don't know which direction this male came in. This is very, very soft, wet soil inside the Mulwati here, so it's going to look more fresh than it actually is. And he actually walks all the way down. You can see my footsteps next to his, because I did a little bit of tracking. So he walks all the way down, carries on straight through to the opposite bank. He does a little bit of what I'm assuming is scent marking there, but I couldn't pick up a smell, so I'm just assuming, and then moves down and along. So I'm pretty sure this is from yesterday evening, but we're still going to follow up. Now I'm going to get back in the vehicle. So that you all can ask any questions you might have. And what we're going to do, because we were just at the dam, what we're going to do is we're going to cross over and then come around and see if we can pick up on any fresher tracks. But that's a nice little sequence there. All right, now, if we know that he was there last night and those tracks are from last night, and we're not picking up anything that's going in the opposite direction, we can assume that he's carried on and moved in this general area, which is south. So if he goes into Little Gallery, we won't be able to keep tracking. If he goes over to Chitwa, we can give those guys a call and see what's happening. Now there used to be a little 2-track that went in here and along to some mud pans, and actually Hosanna used to love this area. I'm going to go through a little bit of a dip here, so we're going to check and see. Now we know that Hosanna has grown up and has moved on, so he's left a little bit of a gap for any of the young males that might want to be coming in. Now remember, male leopards have territories, but there's these little gaps in between the territories. Careful there. Little gaps in between the territories that the non-territorial males, the young ones, will maneuver in. Sorry, I'm just going to take this stick out of the road so that we don't widen the road too much and cause more erosion than is necessary. It's possibly from when they were closing it at another point, but this road is open for now. All right. So not knowing the age of this male or much more about him, I'm going to possibly comment, or assume I should say, and we shouldn't really assume, but I'm going to, that he's traversing little areas, maybe looking for an inn. I know Tingana quite likes this area still, has territories here. I know Hukumuri's more west. I know Quarantine has popped up. You all were asking earlier if there was leopards I would want to see. I haven't seen Quarantine in a really long time. Now Quarantine usually likes, from what I can remember, more towards Torchwood and then Chitwa. And he is a beautiful male. It's nice to hear that he's still kicking around. So it's possible that there's a little bit of a gap in this particular spot, and that this male knows that there's a bit of a gap and he's investigating. It's also possible he's just making his way through. It's also possible maybe he got pushed out by another male in the area that he was in. Ooh. And our bird of prey flew off. Sorry, everybody. I'm going to see if it lands, but I think it's going to keep going. It's our Wahlberg's eagle that we wanted to show you earlier. Oh, I'm so sorry. I heard it calling and I did not stop quickly enough. And it was in pretty good light. So see, we bird while we track. This is what we do. And then we get distracted and we start talking about something completely different. So Leopard Lady, you're saying you think the male that I'm looking for, his name is Milwaukee. I'm pretty sure you are correct there. And you're saying that he tends to be skittish, and that's true, Leopard Lady. Especially if he is not in his area that is his own area, so his territory, he would be a little bit skittish. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to try. So the Djuma, Sabi Sands area tends to have quite relaxed leopards. But not, I mean, it's personality, so not every leopard is like that. And the way that you assist a leopard in becoming relaxed with you is you work him, you find him, you track him, you trail him, you show that there's nothing wrong with the vehicles, it's part of their environment, or with us on foot. So we're going to keep going, even though it might be this skittish male we're discussing. So we can help in his long-term development so that we can get possibly more and more sightings out of him. Sana used to love this tree. This scotia here. There's a beautiful termite. Oh, we've got some good birds. There's a beautiful termite mound here, and then this weeping boar bean is growing out of it. And he definitely liked this area, especially as, well, what a youngster, but sort of 2-ish from when I remember him, 2 or 3, if I'm remembering correctly. Now all the birds that I got excited about, of course, started flying off just as we stopped the vehicle. So I think let's head on over to Steve while we're busy trying to see what we can find you here, and see if maybe he's picked up on any tracks he'd like to tell you about.
See that bird? Sorry, man. Hello, everybody. Just trying to get distant view of what looks like a Wahlberg's eagle. I'm not certain. It's quite far away. But thank you to Alan Dunlap and Susie Baby Girl for giving me an identification on that mushroom. It's called R. malaria gallica. It's apparently wood decay fungus, and it parasites on weakened tree hosts. The roots, obviously, causes root and butt rot. Very interesting. Now, question for the two of you. Can you eat it? That's the question in everybody's mind. Is it edible? Is it magic? It looks like a Wahlberg's to me. Yes, you've got that little bit of a bump on the back of their head, which is characteristic of the Wahlberg sort of crest that they have. And a very slight beak. It's almost time for them to be packing their bags and heading off. Yeah, it's definitely a Wahlberg. You see that sort of pinch on the top of the head there. All of our other eagles have got a very round sort of head, especially on the top. Obviously the long-crested eagle does not, but I've never seen one here. Consultant detective, you reckon it looks like a half morph? Well, it's probably one of the juveniles out of the nests that hasn't quite yet gone through its full breeding plumage. It hasn't quite molted. It's probably still got a little bit of down on it. After leaving the nest, it could take a little while for them to fully get their feathers. Or it might be one of the adults that has gone through a complete molt after the breeding season, or a semi-molt in preparation for the service that it requires of its body before flying on its migratory route. Birds will have to molt every year if they migrate, and some birds will even migrate a second time if they get into breeding plumage, in and out of breeding plumage, and into a serviceable condition for their flight. So very, very important, feathers, and that's why you can find so many feathers around, because birds naturally just discard them as they get old and used. Megan wants to know what a half morph is. Well, Megan, there's no such thing as a half morph. I think that was just a phrase Consultant Detective made up there. Basically, you get a dark morph and a pale morph, and so he's kind of going with a combination of the two. Am I right, Consultant Detective? Kind of look like a mixture between the two, but you only really ever get a pale or a brown or dark. There's 3 different types: really dark, light brown, and then pale. But often when birds are losing feathers, you'll see it often in tawny eagles. They go through this sort of molt and they get really pale patches in areas, and then they get replaced by darker feathers. So it's going through a molt rather than a half morph. Oh, very good. Well, a bird that is probably got breeding plumage is very colourful, similar to that one. No else found in a tree.
We have a battler eagle, everybody. One of my favorites. They tried to change the name to short-tailed eagle. Thank goodness they didn't. Battler means, or alludes to acrobat, to the acrobatic movements of this bird with his short little tail when he flies. Now this is a full-grown male. And the reason why I know it's male is I watched it fly and I could see the thick, dark band at the base of the wing there. And thank goodness he came into a spot where we can see him properly. You can see that orangey red beak, orangey red feet. He's also doing a bit of preening, rearranging his feathers. It's a little bit hard for birds of this size to fly around in weather like this. I know you had a Wahlberg's eagle just now with Steve, and we were also trying to show you a Wahlberg's. They tend to be a smaller eagle and move around even in weather like this. And battlers, I've noticed as well, they'll pick up as much of a thermal as they can on a windy, overcast, cold day like today. I enjoy them for a few reasons. 1, they're beautiful. 2, their acrobatic behavior is quite incredible. If you get 2 males that are fighting in the air and they're grappling with each other, it's absolutely spectacular. Then they're also one of the birds of prey that help us find kills. So they'll make their own kills, they'll hunt their own food, but they'll also be one of the first ones to show up at a carcass. Now you can actually see that thick black stripe that we were talking about at the base of the wing there as he's busy preening, rearranging, and also pulling out any dead feathers he doesn't want. This is really beautiful. If I was going to do a screenshot for today, it would be on this battler while he's busy preening. Now notice he preens and then he stops and he looks around, and then he'll start preening again, and then he'll stop and he'll look around. So he's actively moving for the day. Now, Owen and I were discussing, we saw a second one that I don't have a visual of any longer. We think that there is a nesting site somewhere near here. Or I should say, I was commenting that it looks like this was possibly where a nesting site was, and Owen was saying he's pretty sure that there is. Now, it takes about 7 to 9 years for the adults to get the plumage that you're seeing here. The juveniles stay with their parents for quite some time. Now the wind's dying down a little bit, just a little bit, which makes it easier for me to hear the surroundings. So I think we're going to leave this beautiful bird and carry on looking for our leopard with these leopard tracks. I also wanted to just touch on the fact of when an animal is skittish, how do we deal with that type of behavior? So each individual, say leopard for instance, might be skittish with certain people and then not skittish with other people. They've got personalities just like humans do. Could also be certain vehicles. They might have had a bad interaction with a certain vehicle, or possibly on foot with someone. So when you're new to an area or working with an animal that you don't know, a new animal, you tend to just go with the tracks that you have and you just carry on, regardless of what, say, past history might be. Now that being said, there's a little bit of a caveat there. If we know that, for instance, this young male that we're looking for is injured, that's good information to have because you don't want to push an animal when it's injured, especially if you're tracking on foot. There was a woodland kingfisher that just flew away, and it's, oh, why? But it's still there. I think we might be able to get it for you on our birding morning. Well, what was supposed to be a leopard morning turning into a birding morning, but it always works out that way. Beautiful summer resident, woodland kingfisher, insectivorous. Now defining features for this bird, that turquoise, that azure blue on the back. Then the top part of the beak is red and the bottom part is black. And then when it turns, it's got a very white breast. So the gist of the animal, those are the main points for us here. If it was a brown hooded, it would have a very dark head. It would have less azure on the back, more of a dark brown wing. And then if it was striped, it would have stripes on the front. So I believe Byron was visiting you all for a while, and he brought back the 100 bird challenge. So some of you are asking if we could do the 100 bird challenge again. I think let's throw it over to Steve. Steve, shall we challenge each other and do 100 birds over the next couple of days and see what we can do, what we can tick off? But viewers, you would have to help us as well. So I think we should make a team Noel and a team Steve, and you guys keep track of who's on whose team, and it's just for counting up the birds that we see. And then I think on Tuesday morning, let's see how many birds Steve and I can get by Tuesday morning between the two of us. So he's got to do over 100 birds and I have to do over 100 birds, and you all keep track of for us. What do we think? Does that sound like a plan? We have to ask Steve, of course, as well. I'm sure he'll say yes. But I think after we go back to Steve for the next segment, we'll ask him. And then from there, for the rest of the show until Tuesday morning, you guys must divide up into teams amongst yourselves and then keep track for us, and then let us know on Tuesday morning, sort of midway through the show, what our numbers are and who wins, myself or Steve. I think the woodland kingfisher agrees. So let's throw out that challenge. And let's have some fun with it, hey? Lots of fun. All right. We're extending the challenge to Steve out on bushwalk. So let's go on over to him and see what he says.
Well, Noelle, I like a challenge, but on a day like this, birding is going to be very difficult. So you have said until Tuesday. 100 birds. You can do 60 in a drive. Okay, challenge accepted. Accepted. Now, we had one of these caterpillars yesterday, and I think it was a tussock moth. If someone recalled telling me yesterday, I can't remember what the first name was, But how cool is that? Another one of those hairy caterpillars that you just know, if that got into your shirt, you're going to be in a world of uncomfortableness. And it's on the same plant. It's on the same large bush willow as before. So obviously larval food is favoured by this plant, but looking around, I haven't been able to find another one. So either there's not many. Ooh, he's moving, BK. He's charging. Careful, everybody. Here he comes. Look at that. How cool are those little antennae there? Are you going to start munching, little fella? How cool are they? They're so cool, aren't they? Now, either there's many more, and they were eaten. Rocking cactus, dog tranquility. It does look like a rocking cactus, doesn't it? So maybe the rest of his friends have been eaten. Because normally when a caterpillar, when moths or butterfly lays their egg, you'll get a number of them hatching, not just one. He doesn't know what's going on. Where are you going, little fella? So, still lots of caterpillars around. That's why we still see our cuckoos. As soon as these guys start pupating and disappearing, the migratory birds will realize that their feeding bonanza is up. Hopefully have picked up enough energy, have molted the required feathers, and off to the north they will go. Second chance, I don't think it's poisonous, but those hairs make it very difficult to eat. So you'll find some birds that might find a caterpillar like this and they'll actually wipe it off methodically on a branch to try and remove all those little spines and hairs. Many of these little hairy caterpillars, if you touch them, will very, very badly irritate your skin. And also it looks quite formidable too, doesn't it? Well done for holding that in the wind, BK. So poisonous is normally reflected by coloration, being reds contrasting with black or yellows contrasting with black, the aposematic coloration, or they're hairy, which makes them difficult for organisms to sort of feed on. Okay, so are we going to count the birds already that we've started with? I know Noel's already got many this morning, so it's fine, because on the vehicle I'll probably get more birds. But I'm happy to start with the beginning of drive today. Even with Noel's half an hour head start, it's all good. And how are we going to record them? Going to keep a running list ourselves, or someone in FC going to be kind enough to record them for us? Oh, there's another insect over here, BK. There's a cricket. Oh, can you see him? He's a much faster moving, I'm afraid. He's going to come around. There you go. Can you see him? Oh, he's very quick. Hello, little cricket. You can't really see him very clearly, I'm afraid. Maybe if I move that leaf out of the way. No, he's gone. Anyway, a very cool little caterpillar. If I am not mistaken, someone told me yesterday it was a something tussock moth. Very good. Well, we're not going to be eating him. No thanks. But we'll be looking for some more small little things. Oh, I just love these guys. So these all died off. All of the seed pods were formed. The large leaf devilthorn, all formed. And we had more rain and they've grown again. Because remember, I wanted to do one of these a little while ago. And I couldn't find any. But look how well it covers the ground. I find it so amazing, this ground cover. It's got what we call a pioneer. It's an annual that they die. The flowers get pollinated. See how these guys are closed off over here. Closed off. Here they're open. Beautiful. And then they form these wonderful little seeds that attach to the bottom. Ow, that's very sore. attach the bottom of your shoe, an animal's hoof, and get distributed away. And the seed will remain inside there until next season or until rains come again. And then look how well it grows and covers the ground. It's such an important source of ground covering. And we've spoken many, many times about it. It's very mucilaginous and very well used in all sorts of wonderful things. And as always, it's got aphrodisiac properties, as you have heard of before. It's very nice. We cook it with a little bit of milk. Makes a very sweet yogurt. The last WildEarth expedition group that was here, I got them all to drink some. They were all quite happy, actually, afterwards. And I mean that in both ways. Happy and happy. At the same time, very beautiful pink flowers. Okay, well, we're going to carry on, see what else we can find, and let's send you back over to Noel to start the bird challenge.
We're going to start the bird challenge. So from now until halfway through the show on Tuesday morning, we're going to see, hopefully we get over 100 birds, unless the weather stays like this. We're going to see who gets more, myself or Steve. I'm very, very excited. But I'm also going to throw something back to Steve. We can ask him when we go over to next is, how does he know it's an aphrodisiac? Has he tried it himself? This weather's making me cheeky. It's also super cold. We have a mammal! Everybody! It's an impala! And it's hiding behind the bushes. I'm going to pull forward. There it runs. Very nervous behavior because it's very windy. So they can't hear or smell properly. And so this little young male is just getting out of dodge. He's like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm getting out of here. So that is, there he goes. That is a defense mechanism. Rather than sticking around to see what happens, he's just going to move so that he can get out of whatever potential danger it is. Now, the reason why he's running from us is that our vehicle makes a noise. I mean, he knows what we are, but in general, he's not going to stick around with added extra noise for just in case our leopard or possibly lion or cheetah is lurking. Now, I'm actually going to start putting on my other jacket shortly. It is that cold. I'm sure it's gotten down to about 16 degrees. So normal people in this weather would be huddled up in home, cuddled in bed with a cup of coffee. But you know us, we're bush diehards. So we're going to carry on. I actually am regretting not bringing my scarf this morning. I thought about it. I held my scarf in my hand and I said, nah, it'll be fine. And I put it back. Silly, silly me. Okay, so we haven't picked up any more tracks of this leopard coming out, but we still have to complete our circle. Also means I have to not miss anything. So really we're talking about with animals and knowing their behaviors. And then also sometimes just needing just to find the tracks, and it's just going to be a leopard, and just working with it as much as possible, and then working with whatever scenario comes into play. Can sometimes be better than having other people's experiences mixed in. Guide Monkey, you're wondering if leopard territories get washed away in the rain. So what ends up happening with leopard territories is their scent marks after it rains will of course dissipate because of the water. So then they have to go and remark their territory. But they'll also go and remark their territory regardless of the rain. Because that's part of what they do. They have to make sure that no one else is trying to come in. So this young male that we're looking for, and we're postulating what's happening with him, and that he's possibly not territorial, possibly looking for a territory, or just moving in and amongst the other male's territories until he finds an open gap or gets big and strong enough to be territorial himself. He won't necessarily be actively scent marking. And I say won't necessarily is if you read the books will say he won't be scent marking. However, I've seen young males attempting to mark territory. And even when they're young and it's not theirs. I see a herd of impala. I think we're going to go look at this herd of impala. Or leopard food. Wild dog food. Depending on how you see it. My partner loves impala. They're his favorite thing in the bush. He's always happy when we go on game drive or bushwalk because you see many, many, many impala. So we will oblige him his love of impala this morning and give you guys a nice look as well. And while we're sitting with the impala, we can do a little bit of birding to start our bird challenge. I think what we'll do is we're going to focus on the herd on this side because it's a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to turn the vehicle so that we don't get that lovely telephone pole in the way. How's that? Oh, sorry, impala. Owen, are we okay there? Okay. So we've got some adult females, some little ones that would have been born sort of November, December, maybe a little bit later. We've got one larger male that's at the back. He's not the biggest male I've ever seen, but a larger male at the back, and then a young male who's trying his darndest to stick with the herd. Ooh, there they go. And not be kicked out by that male. Of course, they've moved behind us, so I'm going to turn the car. And they've moved behind us again because of this weather and the wind. They've actually run off behind this termite mound that's just on the right-hand side. They're not happy chappies. Now, they also could be smelling a leopard that walked past or a lion. I don't know. Maybe we'll carry on down the cut line a little bit before we close off this loop and see if we pick up anything. They're not alarm calling, so they haven't physically seen a predator, and they haven't scented it enough that they would want to alarm about it, but they're definitely on high alert. So we're going to check all these termite mounds as we go past. We're going to check in the marula trees, but we're also going to check underneath the thick bushes. And I've spotted a bird, Owen. And of course it's going to be a dove. We see him there on the dead tree at about 3 o'clock. And there's more doves that have come to join him. So whoever's on Team Noel for the challenge, I'm going to ask you all to ID that dove. You can send through your comments. Take a little screenshot if you will, and we're going to start our Steve Noel challenge, birding challenge. So doves are not aerodynamically correct. They've got fat little bodies. So they have to touch wingtip to wingtip, top to bottom, to get their little fat bodies off the ground. That's why you hear that thwap, 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 thwap noise. So on days like today when it's really cool and very windy, they will fly a little bit like you saw now, but they're going to stick to a perch until it dies down and gets a little bit warmer. Their nests are also quite interesting. It's these little messy stick nests. Actually, on walk the other day, I had a beautiful dove, Cape turtle dove, sitting on a nest. These are not Cape turtle doves, if that helps you all narrow down which dove it is. We're starting off easy. A few of them have come back. So while you all are contemplating which dove that is, Glassy, you're right. It is a laughing dove. Well done. That was too easy. Now I got to find you all another one. I can actually see another bird in front of me. And I'm going to see if Owen thinks we can do it from here or if I must pull forward. Do you see it hanging from the marula in front of us? The light might not be just to the left. If we go up a little bit to the left, there it is there, right in the middle. Now, you can't really see the colors, but this is quite a common bird. The shape, the size, the tail should start giving it away, but I do think we need to move forward a little bit just to give you all a better chance. So we had the silhouette there, so the challenge has started. Team Noel, come. We are doing well so far. We've got some good birders on our team, I think. And I'm just going to pull around and give you a little bit of a better view. Okay? Pop Rocks, you're thinking a weaver. It's a bit big for a weaver, Pop Rocks. That's okay. I'm going to pull forward a little bit more, Owen, and then I think it'll be easier. He's on the left-hand side of the screen there. So guys, oh, you've got him. All right. Now this is definitely going to give it away. But I'm going to stay quiet anyway. I'm being very, very kind to all of you. See the color, see that thick bill. It's a very cold individual, and he's hanging on to this marula for dear life. I say he, but it could be a she. There's no sexual dimorphism in this species, and off it flies. Kathy, you're right. It's a lilac-breasted roller. Yes. All right. We've got good birders. Okay, now I'm going to start making this a little bit harder as we're looking around. Again, still looking for our leopard. This road is not the best. It's got a bit of a washboard, and the reason why it has a washboard to it is because this is one of the main roads. So people tend to drive quickly. People that are headed to lodges or staff members coming from lodges. So I think let's head over to Steve so long while we're busy finding you more birds and see what he has. Maybe something tiny, teeny, tiny he wants to show you.
We found a dead wasp. It looks like one of the spider hunting wasps, I think. It's that metallic blue color. But before we delve into the wasp, I've had a few contrary suggestions and opinions on Twitter with regards to that mushroom. Some people have suggested that this area does not exist within the range of the previous mushroom ID that we had. And Picky has come up with a very nice identification here with some pictures as well, known as the golden fleece mushroom, Agaricus crocopeplis. Crocopeplis. Agaric means mushroom, saffron, and peplos means coat or robe. And looking at the pictures, it looks very, very similar, to be fair. And with the little bits of yellow that are on the top, or I thought them to be white, it mimics, or it goes very well with the description. And the most important thing at the bottom, it says edible. Obviously, there's always going to be contrasting opinions in the things, and that's always why it's so important that if you're not 100% certain about a mushroom, don't eat it. Because you might end up like the guy from Into the Wild and eat that weird poison potato, and then it looked like one you thought it was, but it wasn't. So without expert opinion, rather steer clear. So expert opinion and different opinions are always welcome. And thank you, everyone, for following up and giving me some more information. And I saw a stealth wasp. I'm pretty sure it's one of the spider hunting wasps. Pepper spider hunting. I'm trying to figure out what the genus name. Jeremiah, you reckon also a spider hunting wasp. I'm trying to remember the name. Pompilidae is the family of wasps. Pompilidae, they're found all over the world. There's 4,200 species of them. There are many, many different species with 6 families in South Africa alone. Okay, so the name obviously refers to the very specific behavior they have of hunting spiders. But not all of them are aggressive. Some of them are very aggressive. So wasps like this, if I'm not mistaken, they fly around and they look for spiders, which they then sting. And these type of wasps are known as parasitoids because they'll actually sting the spider to sort of immobilize it, to put it in a state of coma. And then they will bury it in a hole, either in the ground, or some of them will do it inside little cavities that they build out of mud, or even cavities they seal up with mud in some wood. And they'll lay as many spiders in there as they can, and then they will lay eggs either on the spider, in the spider, or above the spider. And those eggs hatch, and the little larvae of the wasps will land down on the spider and eat it alive. Ooh, isn't that crazy? So a parasitoid, a parasite is a mosquito or a tick. It's very small. It sucks blood or it injures the host to a degree, but doesn't kill it. Now, a parasitoid is an organism that ends up killing its host, ends up destroying its host in the long run. So they obviously injure the spider. There's a lot of spiders that do it as well with caterpillars, but the spider hunting wasps specifically, you'll see them dragging baboon spiders, all sorts of degrees and sizes, and then taking them to their burrow wherever they are happy to do so. And if you go too close, they get very aggressive and attack you. So it's very hard to get too close. Muddy, you would not like to be stung by this wasp. No, I don't think you would go into a coma, but it would be very, very painful, and you would probably have a very numb area for a while. It would feel quite hollow and numb. But they do sting if you get too close to them, and not like bees, wasps can sting repeatedly. So it's best to leave them alone. I think Taylor had a wonderful live sighting of one of these guys dragging a baboon spider about 2 years ago, year and a half. It was quite incredible. You see the size of the spiders they managed to catch, and they're not able to even pick them up or properly, so they drag them along the ground. That's quite something to see. You'd think the spider would dominate the wasp, but the wasp with that sting is very, very potent. Pompolidae, very nice to see. I think it is. I could be mistaken. If anyone out there is a wasp expert and can disagree with me, you're most welcome to. We're open to opinions on this show, and obviously we're always trying to learn. But one thing I can tell you without any difficulty or with complete certainty, it's dead. Sometimes that's the only thing we can be certain. But then again, yesterday I thought that paper wasp was dead. I started moving again. Okay, so I'm wondering, how are we going to be recording all of these birds? Is FC going to be recording them, or do I need to make a list of it? So that... Okay. Oh, great. Noel has challenged some of you to take a tally, and FC will also keep a list to corroborate. Remember, sometimes you're going to double up. It happens. You're going to get a 2 Egyptian goose at one point, and you're going to be like, oh, hang on, I've already got that one. The best way to do it, if you are going to do it, is on a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, because then if you do a repeat, it will show you that you've already got that one. Upstairs for thinking, I tell you. On the Bird app, it works quite well, because the Bird app will not allow you to do multiple records. So if you have a Bird app like the one I have, the Roberts, you can't put in the same bird. If you choose the option, allow multiple sightings, you say no. And then each time you click that one, it'll go, already recorded. That's probably easier than Microsoft Excel sheet. But if you don't have the Bird app, Microsoft Excel sheet, or if you're very good with names and lists, because it's going to be over a number of days. Mind you, it's Saturday. We've got a whole day today. But then again, BK and I haven't seen a bird yet to show you. I'm going to work very hard now. Very hard, BK. But the light is not ideal for birds. Are we including tracks? Calls? Nests? Wowza. Only visuals. Sorry? No, it only started 9 beaks, which is good because Noel was about 10 birds ahead of us. So we only had one, Noel had like 15. Oh, she's only got 2. So my Natalie got very low. Oh, that's why. I'm helping BCAP. I turned up the volume. Okay, so it's not a very good day for birding from a lighting point of view and a windy point of view, but that's fine. It means me on walk this morning. Jerry not going to get as many birds on camera as he would on the car, but I'll be on drive this afternoon. So I'm going to kick it. Kick it. Noel, challenge accepted. We like a good challenge. Okay, well, very good. While we try to find you a bird anywhere, let's send you back to Noel, who no doubt is searching for one herself.
I am searching for birds, but I found something that birds like to live in, or perch in, or rest in, or feed from. So this is a green thorn torchwood, Balanites. You can actually take the seeds and crush them, and it has an oily liquid that comes out. It can be used in the place of paraffin. And of course, a place where birds would like to be. Not today at the moment, unfortunately, it's a little bit windy. Also not a bad place for a leopard, and we have actually picked up on some leopard tracks, but they're from yesterday, so I'm not excited about it, but I'm not overly excited about it. And then, of course, as you were all busy with Steve, Owen and I found many, many fun birds, but they don't count because it's not on camera with all of you. So we're going to keep slowly driving around and looking at these older tracks to see where they go, because they might lead to newer tracks, and of course looking for birds. So this area that we're in now used to be an area where we would see quarantine quite often, over on the eastern side of Chitwa. These tracks, I couldn't tell you who they're from. They look like they're male tracks, the ones that I could see, but again, a bit old. Not quite sure where Tingana's been hanging around. A couple of weeks ago, he was up by Biffleshoek Dam. And then from there, I'm not sure. So we'll just have to do a bit more investigation. And also looking for birds to add to our lists. I think it's a good idea that Steve put out there to have a list in FC, and then you all keep your list as well. I also think we should try and see if we can get a little bit of banter down and joking between the two teams. Maybe we can start placing bets, or maybe we can make it into a drinking game. I know you all used to have a drinking game a few years ago. So any of you lots that are gonna have a nice fun party weekend, we can turn our birding game into a drinking game as well if you would like to. All right, it's a bit thick through here. Sorry you're staring at the back of my head. Janice, you're wondering if it's called a torchwood because it burns easily. Janice, here's my answer to that. I think because of the oils that are inside the seeds, yes, burns easily, and because it's used obviously then to make fire, that would be my guess why it's called a torchwood. But I actually don't know, other than that educated guess, any more into it. So maybe some of you out there do. If not, when I go home today after drive, I will have a look in my books and see if there's any more information or possibly a story that goes along with it. We've got some more poo to play with. So we had rhino dung earlier, white rhino dung. This is going to be elephant dung, very red in color, not in a midden, quite spread out. And there's huge marula fruits inside of it. And not very digested marula fruits, as many of you know. Elephants only digest about 25% of what they eat. So this is a whole fruit. That's all the pulpy bits that are inside of there. It is fermented a little bit because it's been in the dung. It does stink a little bit. And then the pip and the seeds in there. So with the rhino dung that we had, you could see that because of the grass that it eats, it was digested quite a bit. You can see here with that fruit that I pulled out and the rest of the elephant dung that it's not as digested. Finding whole bits of stick, a little bit of grass, and of course the fruits. Now the black rhino we were talking about, their dung would be more of this color, this reddish tinge because of the tannins. Now this is not fresh from now, but it is fairly fresh. I would say possibly from last night. You can actually see here, quite interestingly enough, a little bit of termite activity. The termites have come up from underground and started accessing the organic material that's inside of the elephant dung. And then they make their little, they don't really like the light, they like to be more in the darkness. They make a little mound in here and then they're attaching under there and building tunnels in through the dung to access that organic material. Very cool. And termites, of course, being something that birds like to eat. So we found places where birds like to live. We found things that birds like to eat. Now we have to go find some birds. Maybe we might find some birds harassing our leopards that we've been looking for. I've on many occasions actually found leopard by them being dive bombed by birds, crow species in particular. I think maybe let's head on over to Steve and see if he has any dung that he's busy sticking his hands into, or maybe a few more bird species for our game.
Well, it looks like a male southern masked weaver. You got the yellow one, BK? Very good. There we go. Southern masked weaver. a black mask, not full on the face, and a clean yellow head at the back. Now, if we keep going up here, we're going to try to get this rattling testicular that's making a lot of noise. Birds respond to these alarm calls. They think there's a predator, and they come. That's why these weavers came checking on us, because there's a small weaver colony just behind us. But the testicular is making a lot of noise. He's flown away. Yes, more weavers. Those are the females. Sorry if I'm making a lot of noise. Oh, come on, testicular. Where you gone now? Oh, he's going to make our life very difficult. So, yeah, Noel was talking about the torchwood tree. Apparently, the little seeds, you can actually take them and light them almost like you would those little small little candles. Tea candles, you call them. You can very full of oil. I've never seen anybody do it, but I've heard that, and that's where the name torchwood comes from. Very well browsed plants. Other parts of the Kruger, I've never seen big torchwoods like I have in the Sabi Sands. So, let's see if we can get him. I scared him off. But there's the beginning call of the chin spot battus. He goes chin spot battus. Those guys will be impossible, I think, to get on the bushwalker camera. Once again, though, another junction. This is another very important area that we look for tracks. The Nkuhumas love to come up from the west, or this side from the south. Hukumuri and Shadulu come up this way. When I was with Dave a few weeks back, we found Shadulu right here in this tree. It's a very common junction to check, but no tracks this morning. Let's go try find that chin spot battus. He's calling quite nicely. And I think the easiest way to get birds on camera is going to be live. They are very, very pretty little birds. Little battuses. Now I love walking, doing trails for birding with binoculars, because you can get into such nice little habitats. Obviously, trying to get it on camera makes it very difficult, but we're going to do our best as the challenge has been laid down. So does Noel reckon she wants to get 100 birds by Tuesday? I reckon that's very doable. I think it's doable in a couple of drives. In fact, if the wind and the weather clears up, you're going to be able to do it quite nicely. There's a bird up there. Yeah, the weavers are back. It's the females. Female weavers are in there. Can hear the battus. Very difficult with this light. Wonderful buffalo thorn perched on top of a termite mound with a few weavers' nests. Battus is in there somewhere, holding on for dear life with this wind. There he goes. Oh, that's a female weaver. He's in here. BK, it's not going to be easy to see. Yeah, it's just here. It's just here. It's through there. You can just see him. Black chest, just through below the nest at the back. Below the nest at the back. You see him moving. Look with your eyes first. Come to where I am, maybe. Just at the back of the bush there. You see him there? Yes, come on, Beaks. You can do it. Up. In the back. Straight through there. Up. Right. Up a little bit. Oh, he's there somewhere.
Just straight.
Just at the back there. To the right of that little branch. Oh, we're trying very hard. We're trying very hard. Yeah, come here, Beaks. Come here quickly. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Don't fly, my friend. There he is. Oh, can you see him now? Now he's gone to the back again. Here we go, Beaks. Oh, he's not playing with us. That's why with binoculars, everyone, it's much easier to bird. We're going to get him. Chin spot Bacchus on camera on foot is the way to go. There we go. There, Beaks. Just, you see the nests to the left of the nests? Get him. Yes, that's him. Middle of the shot. Chin spot Bacchus. Thank you, VK. That is the male, chin spot. The female's got a brown spot on her chin. Isn't he pretty? Oh, I love seeing them. Oh, off he goes. Off he goes. Okay, well, we're going to be linking. Oh, the female has just landed. There's the female now. At the back there. Let me show you the female. There's the female. She's following her boyfriend. And as she goes off, we're going to link you over to Noelle with from our spots to her stripes.
We found you, baby zebra. So they are in a nice open area, grazing away. Also a bulk grazer, similar to the white rhino, not that we saw earlier, but that we were discussing with the dung. Not a large mouth like a rhino, a smaller mouth, but still a bulk grazer at that. And then we've got some male impala just up and to the right on top of that termite mound, busy fighting. The impala are mixed feeders. So interesting, we've been playing around with dung quite a bit today. Those baby zebra need special bacteria in their gut to help digest the grass that they eat, to digest the cellulose in the grass. So to get that special bacteria, what they'll do when they're young like this is they eat the dung of the mother, and that puts the microbacteria back in. It's a form of, for lack of a better word, a form of probiotics for them, for happy, healthy guts. Yes, those males are really going at it. Ah, we've got oxpeckers. Yay! Bird list. Now they need to land. They looked like red-billed, but they need to land. All right, viewers. I don't know who's ahead at the moment. I think Steve and I might be tied, but you guys can give us a tally at the end of the show. On the back of that zebra there, is that a juvenile oxpecker? It is indeed. Can you see the red bill? Yeah. Is it a juvenile or a fully grown one? Oh, it doesn't matter. Looks like a red-billed from here. I'm making a call on the red-billed oxpecker, but they're a little bit far off. I'm going to check with my binos.
I could see on the focus magnifier.
Okay, so Owen's making the call for the red-billed, and I'm trusting his call. So look how much more relaxed these animals are compared to that herd of impala we saw earlier where it was much more thick. We also have, just to the left of the zebra, there's a few more impala, but there's also some water buck that are ruminating, resting down there. Also quite relaxed. Young male water. Oh, there's the side-striped jackal just behind the water buck. Very cool. I haven't seen a side-striped jackal in a really long time. Side-striped jackal, a little bit different than black-backed jackal. You can actually see there if you take a screenshot. That's a really lovely screenshot. Much more gray, and more gray into the face, and they have a side stripe. Tend to be seen in family units, so mom, dad, and the young ones, as opposed to in their mated pair. Much bushier tail. I'm actually chomping at the bit. I want to go see what their tracks look like. I don't have a photo of side-striped jackal tracks. Unfortunately, where he's walking at the moment, I say he could be a she. Can't tell from here. At the moment, it's not. It's through the grassy area, so I don't know if I'll be able to get tracks, but I do want to go over to that side and see if I can get a photo of them. I have been told in the past that you can't really tell the difference between side stripe and black-backed jackal tracks, which would make sense. They're relatively the same size. However, it would be nice to have it cataloged. Yeah, Linda, you're saying you love side-striped jackal. Linda, I also dig them. I also like it because it's not something we see often. And it's nice. Our ecosystem's lovely this side that we get both the side stripe and the black-back. I don't actually know what side stripe numbers are out there, what the population overall numbers are. That would be interesting if any of you know yourselves, if you want to share that information with us. This jackal is just busy hunting a little bit, looking for possibly marula fruits, insects, mice. And then we've got a big tree in the way. Sorry, everybody. Big, beautiful marula tree. Oh, Chiwana, you're saying that's your very first jackal, and a side-striped jackal at that. That's fantastic.
See it popping once again.
Yeah, I will definitely let you know. We're sitting on the side of the open clearing up here by Chitwa. I can actually see it on the left-hand side of the marula, but it's on the opposite bank. Do you know what I think we should do? Oh, and I think let's drive around. Yeah. Come on, everybody. Let's go have a closer look at, if it allows us to, at this side-striped jackal. Sorry, Jigga's also cold today. We're all cold. I've got my rain jacket wrapped around my legs. I'm missing my scarf. I actually wouldn't mind my beanie. I used to have little earmuffs I would wear in wintertime. I'm actually missing those. Feels like winter. Whew. But we're getting some nice activity as it gets on later in the morning. So I saw that side-striped jackal just moving just behind there. Sorry, Natalie, the gust of wind just burst through as you were sending through that question. Can I maybe just ask you to send it through again? Karev, you're asking if jackals are typically solitary. So black-backed jackals are in mated pairs and territorial, and then they will move, hunt, and scavenge on their own, sometimes in their mated pair. With the side-striped jackal, I can actually see him up in front. I'm going to stop here for now. Yeah, see, he's a little bit nervous with the car. He might pull into this little open bit at about 1 o'clock. There he comes. I can just see him there. He's turned around. Yeah, so what Owen's saying now is that where I was headed towards, which is they tend to be the side stripes in family units. So he's seen 3 here, which would be mom, dad, and little. I can see just behind the dead log. Yeah, so there must be a den site somewhere close by. Sorry I'm not looking at you guys in the camera. I'm just trying to angle us as best as we can. Can you see him lying there in the grass? I just want to get the pole out of the way for you. How's that? Okay, there we go. Lovely. There we go. So with black-backed jackal, when you get towards where they're denning, you'll see if they have pups, you'll see pups or the juveniles. They tend to stay until the next year. I've personally seen side-striped jackal, mum, dad, and 5 pups, but the pups were about a year or 2 years old when we saw them. They used to travel around together in a little group like that. So if the food sources are plentiful, they might spread out a bit and then come back together. And then if the food sources are a little bit harder, they might move around together in their little family unit. Sorry for my hiccup there. Ooh, that's a very nice view there. Screenshots. So I don't have my camera with me today because I forgot to charge the battery last night, and I am kicking myself. I do not have photos of side-striped jackal in my catalog, and I'm really, really sad at myself at the moment. Now, if our leopards were around and this side-striped jackal was that side-striped jackal would be letting us know, would be alarm calling. But it's interesting because every time the wind's blowing quite a bit, it is moving further away. Now, Natalie, you're asking if I could guess the age of this jackal. Natalie, to be honest with you, no. So it's an adult, right? So if it's an adult, I'm going to say it's probably older than 4 years. That would be my guesstimate. But other than that, I couldn't get you closer. I don't know. I'm thinking of repositioning just a little bit. I just want to see what he's up to. We mention it from time. Oh, he's cold. He's found a little spot. We mention it from time to time how amazing our equipment is. But just to give you guys an idea, I'm about parked 100 meters from this side-striped jackal. And our cameras are able to get in and get very clear, crisp visual. That's about 100 meters. Maybe 80 meters, 90 meters, but closer to 100 meters. Yeah, we're just scanning around quickly. Maddie, you're curious about what do the jackals eat? And we were chatting a little bit earlier about how he was scavenging around, hunting around, looking for things like insects, mice, fruits. And then, of course, if there is a carcass, they'll go after the carcass. Although, to be honest with you, I've never personally seen side-striped jackal on a carcass killed by other animals. I've seen lots of black-backed jackal. I've seen side-striped jackals more in the mouse, fruit, insect category. But that being said, in the 13 years I've been guiding, I can count on one hand how many times I've seen side-striped jackal. Yeah, this one's cold and is curling up. See, he feels the same as we do. He needs a cup of coffee and a little duvet, maybe some Netflix. Yeah, they could be off. Ooh, Kruger, interesting question. You're wondering if they ambush or flush out prey. So if the jackals are hunting something like baby impala, they will flush them out. They'll hit the nurseries and stalk and see which ones are either distracted and jumping around all over the place or possibly the weaker ones. And then they'll sort of run in, flush out, and grab the one that they want. But that doesn't mean that they won't also stalk their prey. I've seen them stalking mice before. I've seen them pounce on mice. I've seen them sort of flush mice out from inside of a little tuft of grass. So I think that we can safely say that they employ both types of behavior. They're extremely adaptable, and because their food sources are so varied, then their hunting techniques will also be varied. Now I want to get back towards our bird game for just a little bit. We've got some starlings that are flying around in the clearing here, and I've just been waiting for some of them to land, and of course they're going to land in the tree that's where we can't see. So I'm going to reposition us. All right, well, I'm going to call this one with the starlings so that you all can go over to Steve, who's also looking for birds. We're going to stay in this area for a little while longer so we can actually get the starlings on camera so that they count. But let's head on over to Steve and see if we can even up the numbers a bit, and then we'll come back to us in a little while.
There we go. We've got ourselves a laughing dove. Oh, wonderful. We had a rattling cicatrice there as well, but he's flown away. We've got some Franklin's alarm calling off to our left. And, well, they've stopped because the Wahlberg's eagle. Well, there we go. On the left of that tree. What's that big? Straight in there. Go back in where you were. A bird just landed on the left. What's that? Oh, to the right. Let me see if I can see my binoculars. It's like a cinnamon-breasted bunting on the left. Oh, looks like a cinnamon-breasted bunting from here. It did look cinnamon-breasted bunting to me, but I didn't get my binoculars on them clearly. Did any of you see what birds they were? There's another bird, another laughing dove. Well, our Wahlberg's eagle was perched on a tree over there, and he was giving these poor little Franklins over a very hard time. They were calling. And it's the same call you hear when there's a leopard. But if you find the Franklins in the tree, then it's a leopard. If they're on the ground hiding, there's an eagle. And that's exactly what it was. The same Wahlbergs we saw earlier, that half-morph. The half-morph Wahlbergs. Poor little Franklins. Terrified from death from the sky. I'm not sure. If anybody got a screenshot of the bird before, let us know. I thought it was a cinnamon, but I didn't. I can't confirm it because I didn't get a proper look. It had all the hallmarks of a cinnamon-breasted bunting. White-browed scrub robin calling. Emerald spotted wood dove. Beaks, I'm going to make you work now. You see that swallow? There's two of them. Flying. Yeah. Oh, they look like palm swifts. With my binoculars, they look like ninja stars. But BK can't even see them with his naked eye. There you go. There's our Wahlbergs. You're going to get him. There's two of them flying. Off he goes very quickly. There's the Wahlberg's eagle. Well done, BK. Two of them just flew past each other. Medium-sized raptors, small raptors, so in these conditions they fly quite well. And they're probably getting a bit hungry. Probably getting out looking to terrorize all the small little birds on the ground. But Wahlberg's is a bird we should get regularly. The laughing dove is a very common bird. We need to, while on foot, to try and find these very rare and hard to come by birds. Because it's going to come down to it at the end. There's very unseen, like the common moorhen and the grey-headed kingfisher. Those are the birds that are going to win it for Noel and myself. Or one of us might be lucky and get a ground hornbill. Or even if that spoonbill materializes, that's why Noel's doing. She's being smart, being a chitwa this morning. But I think with it being overcast like this, it really makes it hard. The birds are all just away. Some are going. Ever felt that on like a rainy day? It's a day you don't have to go to work. So you look outside and you just go, nah. You know that feeling? That's what a lot of birds do on a day like this. They don't have to go to work. And so they just roll over. Thanks, James Richard. I love you, James Richard. Thank you. James Richard has confirmed it was a cinnamon-breasted bunting. But it's the way it goes when you do birding challenges. If you can't confirm, you can't call it. Otherwise, you're just going to, like Noel was trying to ascertain that oxpecker, which juvenile was. I mean, almost 100% it's a red, or 98% it's a red-billed, because we don't have many yellow-bills around. But still have to. There needs to be some confirmation. So otherwise people will cheat, and we don't like cheating. Confirmed or not confirmed, and has to be on camera. That's the other one. Okay, well, before Noelle's birds fly away, let's go see what she's found.
Thanks, Steve. We've got some crowned lapwings. 2 pairs that we would show you here. Similar to the blacksmith lapwing, although you tend to find them away from water, as opposed to the blacksmith lapwing, which you find near water. Now, I can hear some parrots in the background. I can hear some, I think it's brown-headed parrots, but I have to triple check. So it is exactly as Steve's saying, it's important to confirm. So because I can't get these parrots on camera, I think what Steve and I are saying to each other through all of you is that we need to get it on camera, have a confirmation, not just we saw it and it quickly moved off, so that all of us can play the game fairly. And I am totally agreeing. Now I want these parrots to fly out from where they are so that we can see them. Also, the starlings we had earlier flew off, so we're not going to be counting those either. We didn't get them on camera for you. We crowned lapwing. I can still hear those parrots in the background. And Steve, I am being a little bit cheeky being over by Chitwa, but I'm actually not going to the dam because I can't get a hold of any of the guys and I don't know. Oh, I can hear those parrots nicely now. Do you guys hear them? I think it's too windy. I can't get a hold of the Chitwa guys to see if it's possible to go to the dam. I don't want to go there if there's any guests in camp. So we won't be hitting up all of the waterfowl for now. I can hear those parrots nicely, and I have a feeling that they're in this leadwood. I just want to back up just a little bit and get a little bit of a different angle and see if I can see where they are. I've got a torchwood and a marula at the back there, and then there's a leadwood farther in the back and another marula. But with the wind swirling, it's a little bit hard to see them. What I am going to do for you guys is to show you the parrots in the book, which of course don't count, but just so you can get an idea. Parrots are notorious for being with birds that we hear rather than see. So the brown-headed parrot, which is the one that's calling, is this one here. Sorry for my dirty fingers. I've been playing in the dung today. Up farther north, we get the gray-headed parrot, right? And then a little farther to the northwest, we would get the mayor's parrot. Now, Steve and I used to work in Botswana together, and there was, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Steve, but you'll have to tell me if I remember correctly, a crossover, I think, between the gray-headed and the mayor's, but just triple check, and we weren't 100% sure. But the defining features with the mayor's is obviously distribution. So it's going to be occurring more towards north-central South Africa up into Botswana, Zimbabwe, and then the northeastern side of Namibia. But it's got this little yellow mark on top of the head and a yellow shoulder here. Very, very brown feathers leading into light green and a little bit of blue. And you can see the blue there on the breast. If you come up to the brown-headed parrot, it has green wings, sort of a green body, a little bit of gray into the back, and a very, very brown head. And then up into the gray-headed parrot, a very gray head with a red shoulder into a green body. Those are, other than distribution, those are what you would look at. Now, if we come over to the distribution maps, you can see here, those two little dots are Johannesburg and Pretoria. That little circle is Swaziland. We're just above there. Not just above, but as far as this map goes. So you can see the gray-headed is farther north and into Zimbabwe and the northern side of Mozambique, up onto the northern side of Botswana. Then we come down into the brown-headed, which covers up the whole of the Kruger area into Swaziland and into Mozambique. and then down into the mares, and you can see how it's going over to the northern side, up into Zimbabwe, Botswana, and then Namibia. This does not include Zambia. Obviously, this is just including South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia. Zambia is up here, Angola is here, and Mozambique carries on up that way into Malawi and then eventually into Tanzania. So if you think you've seen a bird, you always want to double check over here. So it might look like something, but if it doesn't occur, it could be a rare instance. But in general, birds are where they should be, in general. And then when you start getting into bigger birding, then we can start looking into rare vagrants that pop up. Oh, Steve's found a nest. Steve's really getting into this birding game now. He's found a nest. I wonder if anything is inside the nest, so let's head on over to him so we can have a look.
It is the nest of an emerald spotted wood dove. 2 eggs, small eggs on a little sticky platform nest. Morris saw the adult fly out on our way through here. So take a quick screenshot, and we're going to move out and leave our little bird to come back and look after its eggs. We don't want to disturb it. Come on, Beaks, out you come. And you can frame over there. Right over there. Through the bush. Are you stuck? Come on, it's fine. Just come on out. Turn there. At the back there's a white-winged widow bird. You see him? Yes. White-winged widow bird. Male. There he is. There we go. Almost got him. Ah, there he is. Wonderful tail. And a little yellow wing bar. And the seed eater's beak. Still in full breeding plumage. The widows are obviously still breeding, as is the emerald spotted wood doves, which you can't count because we didn't get you the bird on camera, but we do have the eggs. Nice to see, though, to compare that with the size of the laughing dove that I saw a little while ago. Okay, let's move away from this nest area now. This mum to look after her babies. We don't want to cause her any stress or discomfort. Alex, there's a fair bit of interaction. If anything, it's more of a commensalism or mutualism, whereby some birds will benefit by the actions of others. So you'll find some birds that go into a bush and they do what we call gleaning. They go in and they can actually find insects inside. And some of those insects fly away. Fork-tailed jongos and flycatchers hang on the outside and catch those insects that fly off, like a dolphin would do. Some hornbills you might see interacting to a degree. You'll often find mixed feeding flocks of quailias, weavers, finches. So they're feeding on a similar resource, but the resource is abundant. They're not competing for it. And what you commonly will see is interaction between large raptors with each other. Obviously, they're competing for a food resource, so they become very territorial with each other and aggressive. Large owls versus small owls, large raptors versus small raptors. And then obviously many, many interactions between small birds and raptors. So owls are often found by the very, very messy sounds of birds. And we found the Wahlbergs earlier because of the interaction of the Franklin. So alarm calls, obviously, a lot of alarm calls are made due to the fact that predators are around. And then you'll get lots of mixed feeding flocks and what we call bird parties. And often you'll find it's generally insect eaters that all accumulate on a tree. Some of them will run up the tree gleaning, others will sort of flick around catching anything falls off, but they swoop through a tree and they all benefit because some are able to scare insects away and then others benefit from them. Maybe some don't benefit out of that, but there's more eyes and ears to spot sort of the approach of predators. What have you got there, Morris? Oh, lovely rocks, eh? Type of metamorphic rock, I believe, with the quartz grain inside. I'm not sure exactly what it is. We don't see. This is one of the rocks we do get around. Metamorphic. It was once granite and it's gone through a huge process of metamorphosis. see if I can remember. Sometimes my Google search remembers what I've typed before, but I don't have it today. Nope. Okay, from stripy geology to stripy mammals.
We have a tiny little baby zebra that's busy nursing at the moment. It was standing on top of a termite mound, and then it ran and jumped around with a baby impala, and now it's nursing. But what we also want to show you is we want to triple confirm our red-billed oxpecker for you on the back of this adult female zebra there. There we go. There's your confirmation, Stevo. Red-billed oxpecker. If it was a yellow-billed oxpecker, the tip would be red, and then the rest of the beak would be yellow. And this is a full-grown adult. The juveniles don't have as much white on the front, and their beaks are not in that reddish color. There we are. Little yellow eye. Now, they're on the zebra to pick the ticks off, to get the blood inside the ticks. They also help the zebra by warning them. There's some more flying through. If there's predators around, but with a windy day like this, everything gets stuffed around. Zebras are quite intelligent and are good at picking up on cues from predators, smelling the wind. Their eyesight's quite good. It's hard for them to be duped, as it were. Look at that little one. Doesn't mean that they still don't get eaten, but it's harder. So Nancy, you're curious to know how old these baby zebra are. These baby zebra are looking between 2 weeks and a month between the three of them. That's my guesstimation. They're still fuzzy. The one in front looks more towards a month and a bit. The one at the back looks more towards 2 weeks. You can see just a bit of the size difference there. This is the one that was playing King of the Hill and then went and running and nursing. Zebras are pregnant for about a year, 11 months. And when they give birth away from the herd slightly. And then join up after the baby has imprinted on the mum. There we've got a very cold baby impala, a little lot lamaki as we call it, a late lamb. This one was probably born, I would say, in late December, early January, as opposed to sort of mid-November. Much tinier than the one on the right-hand side, which was definitely born sort of mid-November time. Oh, they are super fuzzy and cute, I agree. That's why we love them. I see a starling. So there's a male impala on a termite mound just to our left, and then behind him in the tree, or little bush I should say, there's our male impala on top of the termite mound. And then if we go to the left, and just left there, up at the top, starling. So this is going to be quiz time for Team Noel Birders. Is this a Meaves starling or a Burchell's starling? And then it flies away. So that's going to be a real tricky one. So I want you guys to investigate a little bit. Meaves or Burchell's. There, he's just behind. He's hiding a little bit. We're in a little bit of a crossover area here. So I'll be interested to see what your answers are. We are going to pull forward just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get you a better view to give you a better chance at answering. We're just going to keep our eyes here. Did you see where you landed, Owen? Behind this one, hey? we've got something in front of us. Oh, there at the tippy top. Sorry, everybody. We're just trying to see if we can get you another view of that starling. It's not really working. No, that one went off too quickly.
Where's your one?
I don't know. He's flown off. So we're busy trying to figure out where our starling went so that I don't have to be so mean to all of you. We had Darcy Ann, you said it was a Burchell starling. And I just want to get one more view so I can show you the defining features so that everybody can play with us. There he is. At 11 o'clock, Owen, there's that little shrub. So, where's my arm? There. Go to the right. Go to the right. No, keep going to the right. Keep going. Keep going. Past the water buck. Keep going. That little shrub there. And I'm literally, as I direct you there, he flew off. Oh, there he is. Yay. All right. Okay. So we've got a little bit of a better view. Not the ultimate view that I was hoping for. But you can see that longer tail and black around the eye there. It's a little bit fluffed up. And then I'm going to get the book out for you guys while you're busy taking screenshots there, just keeping an eye on him. I say him. Could be a female. Again, no sexual dimorphism. Annie, you're wondering what the best bird book for the Djuma area is. Annie, I learned on Sassel's Birds of Southern Africa. Other people have Robert's Birds of Southern Africa, or there might be Newman's Birds of Southern Africa. Any of those books will be fine. They'll work for all of Southern Africa. And that's what you want. You don't want one that's just specific to Djuma, but for all of Southern Africa. Please will you land somewhere that's nice for us to get a really open view. They're not going to do it. All right, my friends, so with the information that we have, I'm going to walk you through what I saw. Okay, so with the Burchell starling and with the Meave starling, okay, they're the two that are up here, but we're going to go over to the distribution. So remember, we've got Swaziland there, and then we've got Kruger running up the side. There's Swaziland, and then Kruger running up the side. Can you see where the green is for the Burchells? And look where the green starts with the Meaves. There's crossover, right, in our area. Okay, so we're right on the cusp. So you would tend to have on the northern side more Meave starling, and then on the southern side more Burchell starling. So if we come over here now, we need to actually look at the birds themselves. So in this photo, the Burchell's has more of a green, fat body with a shorter tail. It's a larger bird than the Meaves. The Meaves is thinner with a more bluish tinge, and then a longer tail. And you've got the dark over the eye, dark over the ear. Okay. So for me, in general, from what I was seeing there, I was seeing more of the dark blue body, a thinner body with a longer tail. That's what I was seeing. Unfortunately, because it didn't stick around for long enough, it can be a little bit harder to say which one it was. But I'm leaning towards this, so we're not doing a confirmed. Then you always want to go over and you want to read the paragraph here. Okay, so for the Meave starling, you get a locally common resident, tall Mapani woodland and riverine forest. We're close to the water here. Breeds in loose groups up to 3 pairs. Then for the Burchells, you get near endemic. So common resident savanna, dry broadleaf woodland. We're also right in the middle of dry broadleaf woodland, and then we're close to the water there. So this is again why you've got a little bit of the crossover and why you've got the questions that we're asking. So I'm happy to hear any more comments that you may have. Also, we can go to the sound of the bird. I'm not going to repeat what the Meave starling does. I'm sure Steve has his app, which will be good to use. So if I were, maybe I will try just for fun. If I were to be a Meave starling, I would say, "Kya!" And then if I was a Burchell's, there would be a meow to a, yeah, that one I'm not even going to comment on. Unfortunately, with this wind, I didn't hear it calling, so we're gonna leave that alone for now and see if Steve can help us out with his bird app. Then just in front, we've got a new one. We've got a red hornbill, southern red hornbill, just in the tree in front. He's just behind. If we zoom in towards the top right-hand side, just there at the back. There we are. Southern red-billed hornbill. So I'm definitely ticking that one. Let's head on over to Steve, and maybe Steve can play the calls for us. And maybe he's got more to add in with the differences and the similarities between the Meaves and the Burchell's starling. And then if any of you got a screenshot, feel free to send it through, and we can talk about it in the show later today, or, whoo, that's a cold wind, or this afternoon. All right, let's head on over to Steve while we carry on.
Well, we don't have any birds. We've got a ball in the tree. A very muddy ball from a mason wasp. And we spoke about the spider hunting wasp before. Now, this is the type of wasp that uses mud from muddy pans and muddy wallows to make this little gall, and then layers it inside with caterpillars, lots and lots of caterpillars, and then lays eggs inside, sealing it up, sealing it closed, and then the baby wasps eat caterpillars alive. A similar story to the spiders. How cool is that? Let's quickly go over to Noel.
Look at the cuckoo, everybody, out in the open, on the ground. Steve, I'm so sorry for interrupting whatever you were doing, but if you were me, I'm sure you would have done the same thing. We don't usually get them out like this. So viewers, again, which cuckoo is this? We'll play a game together. I'm really excited right now. They tend to be more of birds that you hear calling, hiding in the thickets, as opposed to being out and about like they are now. Possibly looking for some termites. Look, he's feeding there. Oh, everybody, this just totally made my day. Look, look, we have a kill. Got a caterpillar. Oh, absolutely fantastic. Quite a fat little body. Little cafey there, a little crest on the top of the head. Little spotting on the wings. White breast. White up around almost to the nape, but not completely. A thick bill, but also quite thin, with a little notch at the end. There, he's going to pull off another, and oh, I got another one. He's basically just hunting around, pulling all these caterpillars that are on the side of the road that have been hatched out of the eggs that the butterflies have laid, especially on these flowering plants. Rookie, you're saying greater spotted cuckoo. Diane, you're saying common cuckoo. So what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to enjoy the sighting as much as we can. And then we'll get the book out. But I think because I rudely interrupted Steve, I think after we've lost our visual with him, we'll head back to Steve. And then when we come back to us, we'll carry on with the book. So just keep enjoying the sighting that we're having now, because this is, in the birding sphere, amazing. You don't get a sighting like this often, and I'm really kicking myself I don't have my camera. I also want photos of his tracks. Again, not something that you get often. Cuckoo tracks on the ground. And there he flies off. And away. Oh, fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I think maybe let's head back towards Steve so that he can finish what he was on about. And also just to rub it in that we got such a great cuckoo sighting. And then when you come back, we'll go through our book and see if there's any other comments, if anyone else has any other ideas of what cuckoo we've been looking at, and we can discuss it nicely.
Well, we've got a long-tailed shrike. We'll add to our list. Magpie shrike, long-tailed shrike. Very nice to see. You can see how windy it is, how it's struggling to stay up there because the long tail makes the wind catch. If you ever try to hold a sail or try to pitch a tent in the wind, you'll know exactly what I mean. Off he goes, normally seen in little groups. I don't know where the rest of them are. But wonderful to see a cuckoo on the ground with a caterpillar. Which cuckoo was it? Because if you don't identify, it doesn't count. So rub that in. Cuckoos on the ground. You don't often see a cuckoo on the ground. But as you saw, caterpillars, loving the caterpillars. They generally find them in and around the trees. I actually saw a red-chested cuckoo when I was in Clarence on my last leave. They kept flying down, landing on the ground and coming back to perch. Lying down, coming back to perch. I managed to show my friends who aren't very big birders, and they were quite impressed. They were quite impressed to tell some of their friends who were quite big birders that they were birding. If anyway it's going to work, is going to work. So you don't get to see red-chested cuckoos very often. They're just very, very camouflaged. What you got there? It's a kudu. We're looking for birds, Morris, not kudus. There we go, Pico. Only joking, we'll always show you a kudu. There we go, you might have to lift your arms a bit. Oh, she's got an oxpecker. Get the bird. She's got an oxpecker on her PK. On her bum. A red-billed oxpecker on her bottom. I love it when you can do mammal watching and birding at the same time. Very exciting. She's standing very still. We finally found some stripes at least. And there she slowly disappears. Oh, she's checking me out behind the bush. Hello, beautiful. You're a splendid specimen. Now she's starting to feed again. She looks at me and goes, oh, he's a vegetarian. Oh, there's two. There's actually two of them. I can hear a green-backed Cameropter off to my left. Now, getting them on foot, I think, will be very, very difficult to do. Very loud rattling testicular behind us. Where are you, sir? He's on the top right, far right of the tree peaks. And got him. There's a rattling testicular. There he is. Easily identified because of the call. If you just had to spot him, it would take a little bit of guesswork to really get to the bottom of him. But when he's calling, very easy. And these guys, larks, cisticolas, when they call loudly, they are generally doing it on the top of a perch. BK, we've got a little blue waxbill over here. Oh, it's just gone into the bush here. There it goes. Little blue waxbill, they're so cute. Just these little things. The cutest thing I've ever seen, the blue waxbill. So when they land on a branch with a little bit of grass, and they go chip, 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 to show the ladies, look, I can build a nest for you. Chip, 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 chip. That's the coolest. I got it on camera, I think, in my first month or so at a Treehouse Dam. It was so special. I've seen pictures of it, but I'd never seen it myself. They like to take grasses like this. You can hear the oxpecker now. They take grasses like this and they weave a nest. Eventually, like this. More obviously. And then eventually they get a woven, messy nest like that. Nowhere near as intricate as that of a weaver, but they make this very messy woven nest. Not too intricate, but very cool nonetheless. Sorry, grass. Just going to put you down here and do some mulching. Organic material for the ground. Wonderful morning out, isn't it? Dark tranquility, nightingale. The only thrush nightingale I think I saw was in Malawi, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check. Do we get nightingale? I know the nighting. Let me see if I'm correct. Yeah, I saw this in sea distribution. Yeah, I got one of these guys in Malawi. How cool is that? Let's get a couple pictures. See, those red dots mean that they've been sighted. Swaziland, northern Cozy Bay, Mozambique. One sighting in the Kruger. A few of those red ones in the top there are in the mountains. And there he is. There's a leucistic individual. That's all. See, there's not very well known. Non-breeding Palearctic migrant, uncommon, but skulking, shy, and inconspicuous. Shall we listen to him? Breathe. Now that is the syrinx. They're able to blow out and in at the same time like a harmonica, which enables them to breathe. It's two pipes in the throat, so they're blowing and breathing. That's how they're able to get so many sounds and calls. The syrinx inside the bird's throat, very specialized. I've always used Roberts. There's a bird. Let's go find out who he is. I've used Roberts. I find the app much more user-friendly. Weavers. Look at all the birds over here now, this feeding frenzy. Let's go, Beaks. It's a bird party. We've got to capitalize. There's a whole birding party happening here. Give us 1 second. They're being very skulky in this weather, I'm afraid. So I'm doing a behavior known as pshing, spelt pshing. And it's a way of getting nondescript birds to come out. It works very well in dense areas, and it kind of acts as an alarm call, and it often gets birds to come out and go, what's going on? But you move when you do it. Don't do it too long in one area, so you don't disturb birds on their nests for very long. Works very well in forests and works well out here as well, if you have the time and the patience. But we're going to carry on. We're going to exit here, make our way around, see if we can find you any more birds. In the meantime, send you over to Noel.
Hi everybody. So we're making our way off to start heading back towards the side. But we promised you some book knowledge. So this is a starling feather that I found. I'm making the call of a Meve starling on this feather from the coloration and the striation, but what I really wanted to show you is the fact that you can actually see the iridescence shining on it. I don't know if maybe if we zoom in a bit more, you see the shininess. Beautiful there. All right, now while I'm showing you this starling feather, we've got some more comments about from the cuckoo. If you want to send those through, Natalie, I'd love to hear them. So iridescence is the different light waves that hits through the different parts of the feather at angles, and the feather has see-through angles, changing it from blue to black to purple on this particular feather. Not really any green one. So sorry, who said the great spotted cuckoo, Natalie? Peggy also say great spotted cuckoo, and I know we had a call for common cuckoo earlier and another call for great spotted cuckoo. So up here we've got the common cuckoo. Yellow eye, very gray all the way down, and gray around the neck, and some striping on the belly with some white. It's not really what we were looking at before. We had quite a lot of white around the nape. Remember that? Okay. Then we got a call for great spotted cuckoo. 2 of you called great spotted cuckoo. We've got that down here at the bottom. So you see that cream whitish color around to the nape, and the gray on the head there, and then it's the darker body. And do you remember the spot about on the wing, and quite a white breast? Great spotted cuckoo it is indeed. Well done, everybody who guessed that. Really exciting. Really exciting. That has to be one of the best sightings I've had of a great spotted cuckoo. So well done on IDing that, and I hope you got some good screenshots for later. I'm going to take my feather and put it into my cap, my starling feather. Has a little remembrance. And let's carry on through our area here. We still haven't found our leopard, but we've had a really cuckoo. I'm happy. That was such a good sighting. Can head over to Steve.
Oh, sorry about Noel's out of sync. I'll do another one. There we go. The 2 was gone. Is on top of that tree now, BK. Can you see it? I don't know what it is yet. I think it might be a female widow. It was just interacting. Eh? Oh, it's gone now. It was interacting with the 2 male widows. So they were trying to impress her by flying like that. Okay, so lots of birds to be seen out here. There we go. There's a beautiful widow bird right here. There's a white-winged. We've already got him. But what a marvellous specimen, isn't he? Marvellous specimen. So I was talking earlier about molting. He's going to have to molt out of that to get back into his, what we call eclipse plumage, back into the drab coloration that he'll continue on the rest of the year with until the next breeding season as he builds up condition to become a breeding male once again. Won't migrate, but local movements through. And once those guys are in their eclipse plumage, like the weavers, it becomes very hard to identify them. Now, much easier. You know, even the widers as well, pin-tailed, sharp-tailed, all those paradise, very easy to identify the males in the breeding season. But as soon as it changes, top of this tree, okay. Oh, let's go to that tree over there, then he's flown away. So, grey-headed sparrow. You can just hear him, chip, chip. Little bit of a white epaulet on the shoulder. Grey-headed sparrow. And he's got a friend who's landed down below him. And off they go. No problem. can hear a Cape turtle dove. Someone told me that he's saying Hosanna, Hosanna. I like that. Whoever came up with that one, well done. Pat yourself on the back if you came up with that. Hosanna. Sorry, Beaks. Ooh, woo, woo wants to know if there's any long-tailed birds left. Is that what you asked? Umu, you want to know if there's any long-tailed birds left? Well, that bird will lose its long tail soon. Depends on when the breeding season ends. That long-tailed shrike or magpie shrike will not lose its tail. It remains long. The paradise widers and the shaft-tailed and pin-tailed widers, the males will lose their tail as well as the breeding season comes to an end. And we don't have any of the other major widow birds around, but all the widow birds go into breeding plumage in the summer and then lose their eclipse plumage, which is the colors as well as the tail. It's like his ballroom gown. And then as soon as there's no more ballrooms to go to, or events, he loses it all. It just goes back into very drab coloration to make him camouflaged. And also, once the tail is reduced again, the efficiency of flying is back. So one of those things, the long tail, it's called the handicap hypothesis. The bird has got a long tail. The longer the tail, the more attractive he is to the female because he's alive. He's managed to avoid predation. He's managed to display. He's standing out. He's colorful and he's got a long tail. That is like, okay, this guy is, I want his genetics for my babies. But that's all they have to do is look pretty, and they don't have to look after the children. Indeed. Okay, very good. It sounds like Noelle is back in the sink and she's got another bird to show you.
Oh, check this red-billed. Oh, it stopped doing it. No, it's fine. It was digging. Don't worry. Okay, I'm gonna go. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry about that. Not sure what's going on Noelle's side. I was just checking my phone quickly for my app. I'm going to put all those birds in as well so we can have a third list just to make sure everything's going in. I know sometimes the spelling or maybe the pronunciation from my part might not be 100%, so we might not get them down perfectly. Okay, well, it sounds like Noelle's signal is not coming back, so join us on a nice leisurely stroll as we walk up the hill and start thinking about breakfast. What do you think is for breakfast, BK? I have no doubt you guys are going to have some bacon this morning. There was no bacon the last 2 days, which is like, what's happened? Why is there no bacon? Did you say that? Why is there no bacon?
I was surprised.
BK was upset. No bacon. 3 days now, no bacon. How do you guys survive? Both Megan, who's directing, and Natalie are vegetarians with me at the moment, so we're not too concerned that there's no bacon. But anyway, maybe we can get you another couple birds on the way up here. Heard a grey-headed bushshark calling just before. Also known as the spookvoel. Excuse me, nearly died on myself there. Spookvoel is Afrikaans meaning ghost bird. Do you think of a ghost when you hear that? I do. Make you look around. But we're not calling calls, only sightings. And that's one of those birds. If Noel and I get a grey-headed or an orange-breasted bushshrike, those are one of the birds that could top the list. LDC, what bird would I like to see the most? I would like to see Sebwig. Wouldn't you all like to see Sebwig? Here we go, I've just broken the internet for the last 4 minutes or so of the show. Sorry, FC. Deal with that barrage of Sebwig comments now. We haven't seen him since that last time I got him 2.5 weeks ago or so. The river's just been too wet. I considered driving in there yesterday, but I'm not sure. I'll have a look later. Before Tuesday, before Noel leaves and before the end of this birding challenge, we're going to have to go there. But the problem is he's fledged now. So, and his parents have probably just stopped feeding him. So he'll probably spend a little while there going, okay, where's the food? Where's the food? That's what these large raptors do. They're in the nest and they're like, where are you, Mum? Where are you? Where are you? And eventually they get so hungry that they have to fly. And then they start figuring it out. I've got to catch my own food now. Yeah, can't stay at home forever. I just want to go charging in there after all these birds calling, but it sounds like Noel's signal and sync is back. Let's go to her for some closing words.
All right, yes, we are back, and hopefully you can hear us, and hopefully our syncing issues are better, so that my words and my mouth moving come together at the same time. We've got another bird for you, an Egyptian goose. When you've got, when you're doing bird lists like we're doing now, you try, obviously, to get as many birds as possible, but you also want to remember to do your common birds. So we talked about Egyptian geese earlier this morning. But now we've got a view of one and we are playing our game. I can also hear the starling that I was trying to show you before. And this one is a Burchell starling that I want to show you. And I can hear him, but I can't quite see him. Sorry, I'm just looking around. I think what I might do is just move the vehicle a bit. We had a really nice view earlier. They were hunting termites along the ground, and I just want to get you a better visual so we can carry on with our discussion we were having about the differences, because obviously seeing them in person is the best thing. I'm going to park just like this, and we'll have a little look around. Maybe we can look around with the, there he is. And we're going to be back to the same thing we had before. This tall, beautiful tree, just at the tippy top. He's up in there. So I'm hoping there. Nope. And we're gone. Oh well, it's the wind. As Steve was mentioning and I was mentioning earlier, the wind makes it harder for birding, but I think we've done really well. I'm still super chuffed about that great spotted cuckoo. Just listening for a little bit to see if we can pick up any other birds. Okay, so I'm at 8 birds and Steve's at 10. Steve's winning. I don't know how I feel about that. We're both very competitive, Steve and I. So I am hoping for picking up 1 or 2 more birds before the show ends. This area for the water is good. And I don't know if I'm going to manage to get 1 or 2 before the end of show, but that's okay. It's been a really fun morning. Lots of birding, a little bit of trees, a little bit of tracks. Steve and I have had a really great time with all of you, as have BK and Owen. So we're hoping to see you again this afternoon. So this afternoon will be normal game drive time. We'll head off at 4, and then on Sunday we're going to head off at 3:30. So we hope to see you tonight, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.